Good afternoon!
Wow!
There, welcome everybody. Happy Tuesday. Danny and Dusty with you.
Tuesday.
Jeff Rust is here. Hi, Jeff Rust.
Hey,
How are you, man?
I'm here.
You sick yesterday?
Yeah. I don't know if it's something I ate or what, but it was not fun.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Uh-oh.
It was not fun. Let's put it this way. I was making sure that I was very near a toilet all day.
Oh, boy. When did what'd you eat the day before? Are you
don't know.
tracking any of this?
I think I had I don't want to say the place I got it from, but a sandwich,
Okay.
perhaps of a sub variety.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
That'll do it to you.
boy.
Both ends, huh?
But yeah, both ends. But at least Sunday, though, before it started, I managed to get the new garbage disposal installed.
Oh,
Hey.
hey, look at you doing man stuff
Yeah.
over there.
Yeah. Tonight, heading home, replacing one of the shower heads.
Do you watch YouTube for any of this?
No,
No, you can just do it.
not my first time.
Not your
I've done it
first
before.
rodeo. Not your first rodeo. And that is a rewarding feeling.
Right?
That is such a rewarding feeling when you're able to do things and not have YouTube to hold your hand.
Hey, look, YouTube University is a blessing.
It's a real thing.
It's a genuinely wonderful thing.
You can do anything you want, including watch Danny and Dusty on youtube.com/1080am The Fan, where we've got, I've started the, behind me over my shoulder here, over my right shoulder, the P1 YouTube Kings board.
Oh, there you go.
It's the comment section, really.
It's actually a ranking.
Wait.
You should duke it out.
Oh, you want me to rank them? Should we rank them? Because P1
Two-man
Rufio,
enter, one man leaves.
P1 Rufio has become the unofficial moderator of the YouTube comment section.
Yes.
I think we could call it official.
Well, no, it's got to be unofficial because we're not paying him.
Yeah.
And we're not going to pay him. You know? That ain't going to happen. So, unofficial tag will still, it's like the transition tag. Like
Lucky I get paid even what I do.
in the NFL, we franchise tag guys where it's like, you have nowhere to go. You will go here. It's the transition tag. He is the transition tag of moderators.
Yeah,
Where
we
it's
have the
like,
right to match any offer.
yeah, I mean, we probably won't, but we want
like-
you.
we
We
like
want
to
you here.
pretend.
We want you here, but it's okay if you leave. You can go shop around. That's all right. But we have our YouTube comment kings right over there. So it is Thunderdome, as Rufio is saying in the comment section. You can comment there, or you can text us on the Vancouver Ford text line, 503-864-6326. That's the Vancouver Ford text line. How many people out there do you think they know like 5 numbers and one of them is the Vancouver Ford text line?
I would bet that's very likely. Because-
Vast majority of our listeners.
Yeah, because we say the number out loud, and how often do you hear a phone number said out loud anymore?
It never. Like I used to know all my friends' phone numbers back in the day.
I can still tell you my 5 best friends from high school, their phone numbers.
The only ones I ever hear out loud are about 10 times normal speed on like all the DraftKings commercials.
If you have
Yeah.
gambling addiction,
Yes, that's
the gambling hotlines.
That's the number that you know.
I'm sick with numbers in general. That's how my brain works. I used to, like when they're late night infomercials, I used to remember late night infomercial phone numbers out of nowhere. Like somebody would
Oh,
talk.
you could call Miss Cleo anytime you want.
Oh God, that's one of them. The other one was who was the infomercial? Billy Mays.
Oh yeah.
There was some product he did, and somebody brought
Rest
it
in
up, and
peace.
I immediately knew the phone number, and everyone just kind of looked at me. I'm like, don't look at me like that. You know why this is the way it is.
Yeah, we're trained that way.
Yeah, I'm like, my brain works this way, man. I don't know.
I'm just trying to think of phone numbers that I know off the top of my head. There's not a lot. I know my wife's phone number, my parents, each of their cell phone numbers. I only know one of my sister's phone numbers because it's 1 digit off from mine.
Yeah,
I think maybe the Roof Life of Oregon number.
there you go.
Yeah.
925
125. Yeah.
I
You're
know
welcome,
that.
guys.
I know that one. And then I got the Vancouver Ford text
Yeah.
line.
I got both my parents. My sister, I need a reboot on.
There's going to be a day where, like, Will Ortner's running a Portland Pilots game in there, and somebody calls him from their one call from jail. And they're just like, I didn't know who else to call.
Yeah, you were the only number that came to mind.
It's the only
Do you-
number I know right now.
Do you remember your house phone numbers?
Yeah, from, like, growing
Growing
up.
up, yeah.
Yeah, of course I remember those, but those are nothing to me now.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I lived in the same house all throughout school. So we had one phone number.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, wait, you just one phone number your entire life?
From what? We moved in the house I was 4, and they moved out after
3.
I graduated high school.
I got 3.
See, for whatever reason, I don't know if we like changed phone providers or we got rezoned or something like that. I have 3 different house phone numbers in the same house.
That's weird.
Right?
That's very weird.
Yeah.
I don't. No, we had 2.
And
Our parents were just sick of us at one point.
The weird thing is that it went from 641 number to a 643 number.
Oh.
And
Or
then,
even
and
weirder.
then it went back to a 641.
Or is this just because the parents' meringue realized the bodies were already stacking up?
There we go.
Let's go ahead and differentiate these phone numbers here real quick. We did have the biggest piece of property in the neighborhood, now that I think about it.
Do you remember when we had to use the phone for internet?
Yeah.
That sure sucked.
Hey, get off the internet. I need to use the phone.
Okay, use phone. No. Kids these days, they just don't understand.
That
No.
crack. I love watching like TikTok videos of like them playing the AOL sign-on sound.
Yeah.
And then being like, what the hell is that? I'm like, my childhood.
I
That's
didn't-
what that is.
I didn't have the internet until way after everybody else did.
Mm.
Middle school, 7th grade. I think that's when I got
No,
internet.
that's when everybody had it.
That's when that's the first time that we got internet.
Yeah, that's like 96, dude.
No, it was 97. We lived out in the middle. Everybody else around me had it.
Okay. But
We didn't have a computer.
as I say, that's when
We
everybody...
did not have a computer until the late 90s, and it was gifted to us.
Yeah, no,
It was a hand-me-down computer.
That's when everybody else started getting it.
I had no use for a computer.
Because like the internet didn't reach 1 million, and what was we talked about the other day? It didn't reach 1 million total people in the country until 97.
It's jarring how many people don't have internet
Still.
now.
Still,
Yeah,
I
we
would-
think it's like, hey, accessibility, it's everywhere. There's a lot of people that still don't have access to the internet, which is wild to
and they
me.
have the satellite internet, and it's not great, Bob.
It's better than it having no internet, though.
It's true.
Yeah. Golly. God bless it. That was a big problem during like the COVIDs because, the high school that I coach out is like, I don't know, last exit before you get to the beach. And like that was a big issue when they were doing the online learning is that there were some kids that
Couldn't do online
couldn't do
learning.
it. So they had to like go and like park in their car and get the Wi-Fi off the school in the school parking lot. That's
using their cell phone.
that's how they did it.
kind of defeats the purpose.
And that was in 2020.
yeah.
That's crazy. That's crazy.
Speaking
but
of
here we
phone
are.
numbers, 877 cash now.
Oh, that's a good one. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's one that we.
That when we talk about jingles, that's one that will forever linger.
1877 cars for kids.
Yep. Yep. I wonder how many times they get like drunk dialed. Like, hey, I
remember
got
this
your
phone number.
Yeah. Phone numbers are hard. Phone numbers are very hard. But that's how you can text the Vancouver Ford text line. 503-864-6326. All right, we got a show today. Weird day in sports today. Franchise tag day kind of snuck up on everybody because we're all just kind of getting done. And this is the beauty of the NFL, right? They go through the draft combine, and today is we're going to slap the tag on, start slapping the tag on guys after we realize where our draft position is, who we like, who we don't like, and where we're going. It's franchise tag day.
It's kickers, punters, and snappers. That was what they're waiting for.
That is what they were waiting for. No,
Yeah.
the NFL knows how to just dominate every damn news cycle,
Yes.
and they do it better than any
It's
other sports
purposeful.
league.
And I was arguing with somebody about this. I know, again, arguing with somebody about this online yesterday about how the NBA does a terrible job of growing and maintaining and breaking into markets because they argued that. Well, it's because the Warriors and Lakers let off a national podcast yesterday and drove me crazy. But like they were like, it's about market size. And I'm like, yes, the illustrious markets of Green Bay, Buffalo, Kansas City, and Jacksonville, Las Vegas, those bottom 50 markets. It's like, no, guys, it's the NFL is the king of keeping things going and making it about their game at all times.
It's about the brand, not the player.
Yes.
And that's exactly why
The NFL's king.
the Lakers and the Warriors let off the podcast because two best players in the NBA right now are LeBron James, Steph Curry. Historically, they and that's the problem is that the NBA, I think a lot of people don't even realize those two guys aren't the best players in the league anymore.
They're both. You can make an argument that both might have fallen out of the top 10.
But those two guys are the ones that move the needle because the NBA, they
Spent
market the player.
20 years marketing them.
They market the individual.
Yes.
They don't market the team,
Which is why you
the
have the
brand,
Warriors.
the league.
Yes.
And the NBA also, like they rely on free agency being an S show to stay relevant
Yes.
during the summer. Whereas the NFL actually has tangible things that you could point to and say, "Hey, look at what is happening right now." We just had the Super Bowl. 2 weeks after that, or well, a week after that, you have the franchise tag window is opening where teams can start having those conversations. Then we have the combine 2 weeks after the Super Bowl,
Which goes for a week.
Then we have our franchise tags getting slapped on guys on Tuesday.
And
then we have
cuts.
the league new year is opening up. Then
March
we have
13th.
the draft, and mixed in there's pro days all
over the
over
place.
where they stagger out the best prospects, and so all eyes are going to be on that. And then after that, we go into rookie camp, mini camps, then we go into OTAs, then we have training camp, and they have a 12-month season now that keeps people interested and engaged, even though for 6 months out of it, no football is being played. None. Yet they're front and center, and they always know how to do it. And for a while, it was how many controversies did we have where Roger Goodell, ruling with the iron fist became every year there was a new story, whether it was
Greg Hardy.
Ray Rice, Greg Hardy, Tom Brady, Randy Gregory, like you had Richie Incognito with
God,
the bullying scandal. Like
totally forgot about
every year we had something new pop up and they're like, this isn't good for the brand and it's not sustainable. Let's try to ease back. And Roger Goodell has really taken his foot off the throttle, and here we are. We're at a point where the league is king because of the actual game itself.
Yeah, because they did what you're supposed to do and make it so you're bulletproof and resistant to Tom Brady stepping away from the game.
Hey, look at that. Look at that.
Craziness.
Look at that. You see old Bill Burr? I saw clips of it on the internet.
Yeah, with McAfee.
He went in on McAfee about Deflategate.
Yep. We should have.
Thank you, Bill Burr.
We should have.
Well, no, he was pissed because he knows McAfee was an Indianapolis Colt. That's
Yeah.
why he went in on Bill Burr. Is like he's just saying you guys, and McAfee's looking around like, what did I do? I didn't do any of this. But he brought up all of the the Boston sports bar talking points, which is made up science. A judge literally laughed at the case and threw it out of court, and the NFL had to do something because they were embarrassed. So they said we got to suspend him, which is all true. It's all true. Every single bit of it.
Dirty rotten cheaters.
Yeah, go ahead. Tell yourself that. Go ahead and tell yourself that. Not taking those Super Bowls away.
Yeah.
Ha ha! Sucker. All right. We got Blazers. They lost.
They did.
Turns out they weren't going to go undefeated for the rest of the season.
Aw.
They just got done playing the Memphis Grizzlies in 2 straight games to start off the month of March.
It's useful for your record.
Valiant fight, though, last night.
It was a valiant effort.
It was they put up a good little fight.
Good basketball was played, dare I say.
And they hit the 3-leg parlay, which is really all I truly care about at this point in the season.
Tom babe.
And almost doubled up the 18 points, the over on the 18 points. Hit the over on 210, which was easy money. And then Moneyline Timberwolves.
Ding, ding, ding.
Not a big payout.
I told you,
But you
don't-
know what? It was worth it.
I told you don't touch that spread.
No, I wasn't going to. 14 was just a weird number.
No, you just don't
begin
know what's
with.
going to happen. And like when there's that many people out, you never. Everybody thinks that's the easy spread to take. Those are the worst ones
No.
to take because you have no idea what's going to happen.
No, because you have the other team taking you lightly, like Ant Edwards not showing up to the game on time. Wild.
Oh, what? You guys didn't have 26 points pegged down for Duop Reith?
Yeah.
No, I do. At all times, Green Light Wreath,
Yeah.
he has got my attention. I'll tell you
26
that.
points, 3 rebounds.
Yeah.
Eh,
That's what you want your center to do.
Hey, man.
Shoot or
Look,
shoot.
Hey, look. He did what he was supposed to do. He pulled Rudy Gobert out of the paint, man.
And we're seeing our Ryan Rupert.
Hey!
Ryan Rupert,
Roops.
my guy, dude.
Ha, ha, ha.
Let's go. Let's go. I am so excited for Rupert and Kamara future. I really am.
What if the Blazers end up in the top 2 in the draft and draft Alex Sarr and then, I don't know, the Blazers have 2 of the 3 maybe starters for the French national team, and then you get the the early season game matchup between the Blazers and Spurs in Paris?
Does that mean we surrender in the playoffs?
It means I go to Paris to go watch the game. That's what that means.
Just waving the white flag over here. All right, so we got a little bit of Blazers. We got a lot of NFL. We got some little bit of college hoops too. Let's
Yeah.
sprinkle a little college hoops in there.
Yeah, they're trying to do dumb things.
Yeah, it is what it is,
I
though.
don't like it.
But where we got to start this radio program off, clearing the books and the back end. The first mark of a new head coach next on The Fan. All right, 503-864-6326. That's a Vancouver Ford text line. Your dollar goes further at Vancouver Ford. They treat you right before, during, and after the sale. Visit them online at vancouverford.com. Couple of moves being made by the Seattle Seahawks today. Actually, a few moves, as it is the tag day across the league. Guys getting franchise, transition tagged all over the place. But a couple of moves being made that are raising some eyebrows up in Seattle. Not a surprise that Jamal Adams and Quandre Diggs both released today by the Seattle Seahawks. But a little bit of, okay. Seattle has released Will Dissly as well to clear up some salary cap space as well. The move to clear Dissly is $7 million in salary cap space, while Diggs and Adams clear $27.5 million. If you're good at mathing there, which I am not, but I can math this, that's $34.5 million that the Seahawks have cleared by cutting those three guys.
A lot of cash.
It also, though, is leading to you've got a massive hole in the back end of your defense now.
The entire back end of your defense is gone. But you also may want to take a look at what else is out there in free agency as well, because there's so many players hitting free agency right now, and Seattle has. We'll get into their draft capital. They have most of their draft capital, although they did use some of it up for Leonard Williams in the trade this last season.
They got 7 picks. Every round except for the second round, but you get 2 third-rounders. You have the 78th and 81st pick.
Which, I mean, it might as well be back-to-back picks.
Yep. In the third round, where this draft is very deep, and so you can get guys that you can hopefully project into serviceable pros. But it is an interesting time, though, when you have to replace both of your safeties, both Jamal. And look, you don't really need to replace both of your safeties because Jamal Adams rarely played.
Yeah. Remember, they gave up all that capital for a guy that they thought was going to be really good, and then not only did he not play, he wasn't really great when he played.
And was not a good teammate.
And was a complete a-hole.
Yeah. I mean, look at this, though. Think of what...
Great trade by the Jets,
Jets... Yeah, the Jets give up Jamal Adams.
It turns into Garrett Wilson and... God, who was the one of the tackles?
It was a pair of first-round picks, and they gave up a fourth-round pick as well, just as kind of like the throwaway filler. Hey, this will make you feel...
Sell this to your fans.
But one of those picks did become Garrett Wilson.
Yeah. One of the better wide receivers in the league.
Holy crap.
Yeah.
And it was a lot of freight even at the time. But Seattle was like, all right, if we're going to make this final push with the Russell Wilson era, we've got to do it, and we've got to do it right now. Well, it turned out not to be the good trade by any measure for the Seattle Seahawks. They didn't get what they wanted out of Jamal Adams. They didn't get nearly the production that they needed out of him, and he was a horrible teammate as well by most accounts up in Seattle. But then on the flip side of it, how quickly after that trade happened, what was that, in 2020? It was a training camp of 2020. Yeah. You give up that freight. He almost immediately gets injured, by the way. And you then, just 2 years later, deal Russell Wilson out, and you hit a reset on your entire franchise at that point. I mean, it was like the most short-sighted trade ever, where they went, we're pushing all into, we're pulling all out.
Yeah, and imagine if you would have had the additional draft capital there, how the position they would be right in, or they would be in right now going forward. And they're in a good spot. I mean, they got way more for Russ than they should have. That's for damn sure. They basically recouped the assets that they gave up to go get Jamal Adams, which then you kind of call it a bit of a wash, but you get a little bit of a back-end capital. But it wasn't just Garrett Wilson. It was Elijah Vera Tucker.
That's a pretty good one.
So the Jets turned those picks into Garrett Wilson and Elijah Vera Tucker, which... Yeah, I bet you the Seahawks would have rather have had those guys than Jamal Adams.
You're just thinking about with the draft that they did have 2 years ago, Seattle. Imagine being able to stack a couple of draft classes in a row. But this is the beauty and the beast of the NFL, in that you need to push all in. There is 100%. If you are in a winning situation and you have an aging quarterback, you need to pull the trigger, and you need to be bold in the moves that you make to try and get your team over the hump, because the window is so small to win in the NFL. They pulled the trigger, and if you're a Seahawk fan, you got to be like, okay, at least they win in on this.
No,
at least
100%.
they made the move. But the scary part about all of that also is how quickly it can backfire, and you're in a reset mode as well.
But I don't know if I even call it scary. I think it's a good thing. The NFL is better at making parity more important than any other league. The NBA is trying. Major League Baseball, I don't really know how you can because of the individual matchups, blah, blah, blah. But the NFL does it. And what the Seahawks did, I think you have to commend them on both sides. Is number one, they went in. And number two, when it was time to get out, they got the bleep out. Pulled the ripcord, full parachute. We're out. We're good. We're
Just put your hands in the air.
yeah, we're done. Okay, we're gonna go ahead and reset now. No, look, they had the fun little season with Geno Smith.
Yeah.
But what are they doing right now? They're trimming all the fat right now, and now they're fully clearing their books so that they can retool and head it and get right at it again. They're going about this. Snyder is smart, man. He is like he is probably one of the most effective GMs in the league. Number one, when it comes to talent evaluation, but number two, about decisions. And just you look at where this organization has been. Snyder's been there for what, 13 years now?
But maybe 2011 sounds right. Yeah.
I think it's 11 or 12, right around there. So look at where this organization has been. They've reset multiple times.
Yeah.
And how many times have they made the wrong decision? You can say the Jamal Adams one for sure. But how many drafts have they gotten right?
They've gotten a lot of drafts right, but it's also the idea that some of the moves that they've made in whether free agency hasn't worked out.
Matt Flynn, it could be a perfect example
They've
going
been
into
draft and develop. Yeah. They have not been we're going to land the big free agent and it's going to work out in spades. I mean, Dwayne Brown was another guy where that was a big swing, and he was serviceable. Very short term though, and you turn him out, and boom, here you are again. But they're clearing the books now.
Yes,
the $34 million that they clear up in cap space. I mean,
what does that get them to total now?
I can't tell if they've updated this yet or not on Spot Track, but I believe they're going to double their free agency money that they have available, because Spot Track has right now $32 million available for the Seahawks to play with this offseason in cap space. And I was looking, and they still have Jamal Adams on their roster. So if that does come off and they clear this, all of those moves, the Disley, Quandre Diggs, and Jamal Adams, then I believe they clear out quite a bit of space to just make it not even you're going to be a big player in free agency, but just make it palatable moving forward in a direction with your roster.
Yeah, because the rest of their contracts actually
they're
decent?
really good. They're in a really good spot right now.
Yeah, they really are. They really don't have any big money other than to DK and Geno, and both of them are going to be. I mean, Geno's a short term.
Yeah.
So, and Lockett's on the back end of his deal.
And Geno is not. It's not big money.
No, but I mean, I'm looking
for
basically
God's
anything
sakes.
over $20 million is kind of what I look at. It's okay. Those are decisions that need to be made.
That will be. This is the first sign for Mike McDonald for in John Schneider and Mike McDonald era, joint at the hip, on just pulling the plug and saying, we all knew the Jamal Adams thing was coming. We had the inkling and the idea that Quandre Diggs was coming too. You've got guys behind him in Julian Love and Jarek Reed that, serviceable. We're going to see, though, in this draft, I think the Seahawks are going to be really active in the draft. When you have 7 picks, when you have such a deep draft like this, is trading down in the first round to where, unless that guy is there, unless that one of those interior offensive linemen is there that you fall in love with and you don't think is going to be there if you trade back of 5 or 6 spots in the first round, but you have that luxury to do. Interior offensive line, you're needing an edge rusher in a draft that is not edge heavy. But if you trade down in that first round and you can maybe acquire a second round pick out of it, do it.
Yes.
Go ahead and
absolutely.
get more starters out of this and sit there and do what you do best, John Schneider. Evaluate the talent and bring those guys in, and your books are going to be clean moving forward. Mm-hmm. You don't have a lot of money down the road, and the guys that you develop, you'll be able to pay moving forward. It's very reminiscent of what they did when Pete Carroll and John Schneider came in together.
Yeah, I was looking through the transaction history here. Disley and Diggs are both transactionally done. And I believe there was a note when I saw the Jamal Adams that he was a post-New Year, League New Year designation, and that's why it has not yet posted yet.
Yeah, I bet he'll be post June 1.
It might have been post June 1.
June 1 is where a lot of those numbers come down even further.
Yeah.
But as it is, the Seahawks cleaning the books, cleaning the books up and getting ready to make a run. I would imagine they're going to be one of the more active teams come draft day because John Schneider.
That's what they do.
He is sharp as it comes. And if he falls in love with the guy in that second round and you can make a trade where you can say Arizona wants to move up from 27, right? You drop 11 spots, you pick up a second round pick. That's probably a little bit too far. But if anybody wants to jump up ahead of any of the other teams, everything's in front of you, right where you are, because there's some really good teams behind them. Drafting at 16, I think the teams that are directly behind them in the draft are Jacksonville, Cincinnati, Rams, Steelers, Dolphins, Eagles. If you trade down with any of those teams, I don't think you're going to be getting a team that, jumps up and takes one of the spots that you're coveting. Maybe Philly with that interior offensive line.
But even then,
with Jason Kelce out, if they want to go and they want to get Jackson Powers Johnson, they want to get one of those centers, that's probably one of the guys that Seattle's going to covet too.
I could see a lot of teams looking at Seattle there going, they're not a team that is like has to have this guy or that guy, or they have plenty of needs.
Their interior offensive line is a big one, and they're loaded. This
but
draft is loaded.
Like, you can move back because there's potentially 3 first-round centers, and if you look at your board and you don't have that much differentiation between them, and you're able to go get an additional asset out of it, let's use the Eagles. Let's say you move back, 5 spots, and you recoup a third. That's worth it. If there's not, any additional separation between the two.
I feel like they need to get in that second round. They need to get in that second round.
Yeah,
they need to have 1 and a 2.
I think it all depends on what the value scaling is.
All right, tags being handed out across the league. It's not necessarily the guys who were franchise tagged, but some of the guys that weren't. First is Russ with SportsCenter.
Now, from the Fan Sports Desk, a SportsCenter update on 1080 The Fan.
This update brought to you by Big's Chicken. They're smoked and fried wings, tossed with a perfect dry rub and served with a killer trio of sauces online at bigschicken.com. First on The Fan, following a 2-1 road trip, the Trailblazers return home to face the West's number 2 team in the Oklahoma City Thunder tomorrow night. Portland 17-43 on the season. That's the 5th worst record in the league. NFL's franchise tag deadline is today, coming up near the top of the hour. Among the planned or confirmed tags handed out, Panthers pass rusher Brian Burns, Buccaneers cornerback Antoine Woodfield Jr., Ravens defensive tackle Justin Madubike, Jaguars pass rusher Josh Allen, Bears cornerback Jalen Johnson, and Colts wide receiver Michael Pittman Jr., but the Giants say they will not tag running back Saquon Barkley, which will make him an unrestricted free agent. As we mentioned there, the Seahawks releasing veteran safeties Jamal Adams and Quandre Diggs and tight end Will Dissly. The moves will save over $34 million in cap space. Among other players being released today, Jaguars cornerback Darius Williams, Jets tight end Jerry Uzama, and Panthers tight end Hayden Hurst. Ian Rappaport of NFL Network reporting the Texans signing tight end Dalton Schultz to a 3-year, $36 million deal to keep him in Houston. He's got $23.5 million fully guaranteed coming his way upon signing. And the Patriots reportedly putting the transition tag on safety Kyle Duggar, meaning they can match any offers. One note from baseball, ESPN's Jeff Passan reporting Red Sox starter Lucas Giolito could miss the season due to a partially torn ulnar collateral ligament and flexor strain that may require surgery. More sports scores and stories in 30 minutes. I'm Jeff Rust at the Fan Sports Desk. Listen live or on demand on the Odyssey app, the Fan's desktop player, or tell your smart speaker to play 1080 The Fan.
If you can't find the humor in today's NBA, you're doing it wrong. Heat Check with Trista Crick on the Odyssey app or wherever you get your podcasts.
It's tag day in the NFL. You're it.
No.
They've got 3 different tags in the NFL. Do you know them?
Not the names of them. I know the general franchise tag, then there's the loose, like, matching tag.
Well, there's the exclusive tag and the
Exclusive.
non-exclusive tag, and then there's the transition tag.
That's
Yes,
right. There are
thank you.
3 different tags that you can have.
Check out the big brain on Brad.
And if you ever wonder what the hell any of that means, transition tag is the 1-year offer, but it's the average of the top 10 paid players at your position. So if you are a wide receiver, the transition tag is the average of the top 10 highest paid wide receivers in the NFL. Boom.
And the team can match
You get that.
offers.
And yes, you get the team has the first right of refusal
Yes.
to anybody that comes and tries to offer. The non-exclusive tag, this is the one that is used the most. It is the average of the top 5 salaries at that player's position or
Or
120% of his previous salary,
which that can be spicy.
whichever one is the bigger number.
Mhm.
Okay. That tag player can negotiate with other teams, but if the other team wants to go and sign him, they have to give up 2 first-round picks.
Mm-hmm.
So they basically give him the Jamal Adams treatment.
Yes.
Um,
Which is also what the Ravens hit Lamar Jackson with.
the exclusive franchise tag is the non-exclusive, except for no team can come through and match an offer.
You're getting the money.
That's it.
You're stuck playing for this amount of money. Deal with it.
That's basically only given to quarterbacks.
Yes, that's the Kirk Cousins. What was it? 3 straight years? He
Yeah.
got in Washington.
Washington, and he made a but. There's
30
nobody
million
at
a year.
getting the bag that is better than
Than Kirk.
Kirk Cousins.
Yeah.
Like he is because he gets you. He gets you because he's so nice
Mhm.
and he's so
And he-
aw shucks
and he's just good enough.
oh fiddlesticks. And then he's like, "What? We're paying you $184 million
Mm-hmm.
fully guaranteed. What is happening here?"
You like that? You like that?
He does.
Yeah.
I don't think other teams do.
That's actually why Dan Snyder sold the team.
That's it. But so
I gave him that much money?
the tags are being handed out. Most of them are non-exclusive or transitional tags
Mm-hmm.
today. Guys that have been tagged: Brian Burns, pass rusher for the Carolina Panthers. He's really damn good at
Which is
football.
insane also because they're going to have to pay him all that money. They're still going to suck. And they turned down, it's been reported by multiple outlets now, 2 first-round picks at the trade deadline this year for Brian Burns.
They are a very poorly run franchise.
And we'll talk about that later.
They are very, very, very poorly
2
run.
firsts.
That's just stupid.
What?
And they suck eggs. Josh Allen of the Jacksonville Jaguars, he's got the non-exclusive tag. Both of those guys going to make
A lot of cash.
$24 million.
Yeah.
$24 million.
Still less than Chris Jones.
T. Higgins and Jalen Johnson, receiver and defensive back for the Bengals and Bears, respectively. They both got tagged and are going to be making butt tons of money. $22 million for T. Higgins and $20 million for Jalen Johnson. Justin Matabuke from the Ravens. Dude, he's really good.
He's also a lunatic. Have you heard his mic'd up segments?
No.
Oh, he's like Ray Lewis Jr. on the field.
And then
He's unhinged. I love it.
L'Jarius Sneed got the non-exclusive tag today. $20 million for L'Jarius
The
Sneed.
Chiefs said they want to have their cake and eat it too. We're not going to pay you, but we'll see what anybody else is going to pay
This is
you
going to
first
be really interesting.
to see who pays what, because there's a lot of money in free agency right now.
All this tells me is that they're okay biting the bullet on $20 million for one more year in a corner who's young and really damn good.
Mm-hmm.
But also, they feel that they can get a sweetheart of a deal for Chris Jones.
And if not, we'll go ahead and if somebody else does come over the top first need, we're going to get draft compensation. So thanks.
Yeah, but they covet L'Jarius Sneed more than Chris Jones right now, which makes sense. 2 guys that did not get tagged. One's Christian Wilkins in Miami. They're not even
Let
going
them
to
go.
mess with the tag because they are in financial hell.
Yes.
Like, this is something that is incredible. Like, you're not going to see, it's not expected that the Chargers tag anybody either because both of those teams are in salary cap prison right now. So far over the cap, they're just releasing guys left and right. Guys are going to have to be free agents. We may see some more bloodletting from both those franchises. And this is like the cautionary tale. Tom Telesco, right? A longtime Chargers GM, thought of as a brilliant roster constructor, and he put together a lot of talent on the team. They just couldn't stay healthy.
Yeah.
The Chargers can't afford the bill right now.
No. But they strung that thing on for like 6-7 years. Like, it's been a long time.
And this is going to be like one of the issues that now it's your problem. It's a Raiders problem now. But the Dolphins not going to tag Wilkins. This is going to be a really big turnover year on their roster. And then Saquon Barkley not getting the tag. This is one that he didn't want to play on the tag.
Yeah.
We knew he didn't want to be a guy who was tagged.
Barkley, Derrick Henry, Josh Jacobs. All non-tagged.
And all going to be hitting the free agent market.
That is an insane running back class.
And they're not going to get paid a lot of money.
No.
I mean, they won't, because
does any of them get more than $10 million
per year?
Yeah.
I think Saquon might.
Maybe.
I think Saquon.
Like a 330?
Yeah.
333?
Yeah, maybe. He's somewhere in that range. Other than that, no, because you're sitting there and you're going, I don't know how
Henry's
much trade
too
you have.
old, so you're going to shorten that one up.
And carries have just been through the roof every year since
Jacobs
high school.
had the down year, so he's not going to get the big bounce that he would have gotten last year when he was phenomenal. So
Saquon Barkley is going to be a guy that we look at and we go, all right.
He could swing the
Chargers are going to be in play for all three
Yes,
of those guys,
'cause they're all
and
power
they
backs.
should.
Yeah.
And those guys will thrive in Jim Harbaugh's offense. You get to play with Justin Herbert, and so you have a quarterback that you can rely on, which, I mean, think of that.
None of those guys have
Those
had that.
three guys have not had that
They've been anchors for teams
the last
not-
handful of years. They will have a quarterback that they can lean on, a coach that wants to pound the ball down the opposition's throat, and they're going to want to bolster their offensive line through the draft.
And they're not going to be rode into the ground.
Well, I don't think Jim Harbaugh cares about that.
That's fair.
I think he'll ride them directly into the ground. But they're going to get theirs, and they're going to get their carries.
Which Derrick Henry has always wanted. Derrick Henry wants the carries.
Yeah, I think they're going to. All three of those guys. If you have to take a deal with a team, this is what you do. You go to the Chargers, then you probably look at teams like the Eagles, the Chiefs, and you say, all right, there's a spot for me in any of
Ravens.
these offenses. Yeah, the Ravens right now, but I'm not sure stylistically. Josh Jacobs probably is the best fit stylistically in that Ravens offense, but the style of play for all three of those, like if you go Chargers, Chiefs, Eagles, if you're going to take a deal and have to go on the cheap somewhere, the style fits.
Oh, yeah.
The style fits,
100%.
and you can win right away.
No, it's going to be really interesting because there's a ton of cash on the market, and there are a ton of very good free agents, but who ends up eating the most of that pie?
Right now, it looks like offensive line.
Yeah.
Because when you have guys like Tyron Smith that are going to be, he's going to get a big payday. It sounds like New England's going to throw the bank at him. I think receivers going to be interesting. We talked about this yesterday. The bag may not be as big for receivers as they think it is.
Because there's 11 or 12 in this draft alone.
The draft class is through the roof, so teams are going to go, well, if we can fill it with cheap talent, we'll go ahead and do that.
Flip side is you're talking also about the tag. I mean, the tag is getting applied to T. Higgins. The tag is getting applied to Michael Pittman Jr.
Yep.
I think there's one other wide receiver. Mike Evans already re-signed.
Yep.
So that's
he's off the
three
boat.
of the top wide receivers already out there. I mean, you start looking, and Calvin Ridley is owed a substantial amount of money, and that'll end up going, and also the draft capital if he re-signs that goes back to Arizona for that.
Yeah, they get another second round pick,
Yes.
or Atlanta goes to Atlanta.
I'm sorry,
Yeah.
Atlanta.
It's an A and a bird team. You were close enough.
Yeah, I
I think
mix up the birds, but yeah, you're already seeing wide receivers gobbling up chunks of that. That's probably $100 million in cash just to those guys alone.
Yeah. I also think if you look at the back end of defenses with the moves that the Seahawks made today with Quandre Diggs and Jamal Adams, there's a lot of defensive backs that are available, and I bet they're going to gobble up a ton of money too. If you just need to fill spots and you're looking for where they will covet it, edge rushers, which nobody lets their great edge rushers go.
Well, did the Vikings re-sign Hunter?
I don't know. But you look at guys that are available in the defensive backfield. Dude, there's some dudes, including Kevin Byard, who's going to be
Who's not even
hired. There's a lot of hired guns that you're going to sit there and you're going to go, all right, Stephon Gilmore, he hits the free agent market. Even though he is aging, you take a short deal on him, he'll gobble up money on a 1-year deal. You got, I think Kyle Fuller. Kyle Fuller may get a decent deal.
Awuzie.
But they're all going to be short term though.
We get a Awuzie from the Bengals, who's another dude.
Yeah.
Like I'm just scrolling through the list, like looking at it, like there's a lot. The free agent list, Gilmore, if you still believe in him, even though he's 33.
Yeah, that's what I said. He'll take a 1-year deal.
Yeah,
And there's a lot of 1-year deal guys that you're just going to roll the dice on and say, all right.
But there's so much money out there that you're just like, screw it, why not?
Well, and that's where things kind of get compounded and things will get a little bit messy, is that if you look at the salary cap and where it's at, Commanders, Titans, Patriots, they all have like $100 million to spend.
Yeah.
That's nuts.
We just got to go somewhere.
Good Lord. All right, 503-864-6326. That'd be the Vancouver Ford text line. You can also chime in on the YouTube chat, youtube.com/1080 AM The Fan. This is Danny and Dusty. Yesterday that made me think that this young man believes it's Zoolander. Arch Manning is not going to be in the NCAA game.
I'll tell everybody what I texted you when I saw it. I am so out on this kid. I'm done. Stop. Arch Manning, Sr., go to hell.
That's Archie Manning,
Yeah.
but that's not his dad. That's his grandpa.
Yes, yeah. I'm talking the
Manning family.
Yes, no. We know it's grandpa leading the charge here. Peyton Manning does not care about this. Eli, maybe.
I don't think any of them care about it.
This is the whole, we're going to focus only on football on the field. Really? Because you're making this a distraction by bringing this up and not just signing the bleeping paper that gets you $600.
Well, according to multiple reports, it was first by Anwar Richardson, who tweeted out, multiple people have told me Texas redshirt quarterback Arch Manning will not opt into EA Sports College Football 25. I'm told Arch is focused on playing football on the field. The thing that popped into my mind was Zoolander, where they're like, the files are in the computer.
They're in the computer?
He's like, I have to be in the game. Like, he's turned on EA Sports one time in his life. He's like, EA Sports, it's in the game. And he's like, I have to be in there? I just want to focus on football. It's not a focus of anything. And what will people do not having Texas's backup quarterback on the roster?
I had somebody say, like, the reason why he's not doing this is the Manning family didn't want to see the 65 overall next to his name.
Well, he's literally not getting out of bed for $600, and that's what it is: $600 check and a free video game.
I feel like this is the Manning family trying to leverage this in a year when Manning's the starting quarterback, and like, well, if we don't sign our likeness away, we can have more leverage for being the cover athlete.
This is all dumb, and I don't think it's Arch Manning who's making this decision. It is whomever's in charge of his business. And look, the kid has got multiple NIL deals, and he donates it all to charity. Like Arch Manning he doesn't need the money, and so this thing isn't really about money, but it's absurd to be like, I just want to focus on football. This has zero effect on him focusing on football, but it's also
literally
like
signing a dotted line and being done with it. That's all it is.
I am more prone to believe that tweet about the idea that the Mannings just don't want him to have a really low grade. Like, that is actually pretty believable.
Right?
And the thing about the game now is, like, you can't go and create a player and just put him in the game as the backup quarterback. I don't know how they're going to do this. So, like, are they just going to outlaw the name Manning or Arch Manning? Because could you, like, create Arch Manning maybe playing for Tennessee and then have him transfer to
and
Texas?
your backup quarterback for the Texas Longhorns, Bart Lanning.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Hey!
I mean, Bart Lanning works. I'm not gonna lie.
Bart Lanning actually sounds he sounds like a really good football guy.
Bart Lanning's the kind of guy that throws a touchdown, goes to the sideline, and throws a dip in.
Yeah, dude, that's 100% what
Yeah.
That's Southern Miss quarterback
Yeah.
Bart Lanning.
Yeah.
You're just like, whoa, look at that. Golden Eagles got a good one, man.
You can see the outline of a can of chew in his pants.
Well, we had a kicker who did that.
Sebastian Janikowski did it in the NFL.
We had our kicker. We were playing at Humboldt State, and it was our first game. We had brand new white pants. Our kicker goes and makes a tackle, and we're playing on turf, and he runs back over. I'm like, why is your knee brown? And he was like, oh, no. He's like, oh, no. He was using his can of Copenhagen as his knee pad because he was a kicker. And
what the hell else am I going to do with it?
He actually had to make a tackle and fell on the knee. And our brand new white pants, like, we're not playing on a muddy field. Yeah. It's a turf field. It just broke in half, and so he had the chew is just like seeping through
the little hanging pocket.
The white pants, like you could just see.
Oh, I know, but he put it inside the little hanging pocket inside.
It looked like a turd was sitting in where his knee pad should be.
How'd you poop out your knee?
Wouldn't you like to know?
Yeah, so the brand new white pants, game 1, ruined by our kicker.
Yeah, look, you can't get that stain out. There's no amount of bleach. I've tried.
That was a great day. I'll never forget that one. That was a fun one. But yeah, that could happen. Bart Lanning would do that. He'd just be sitting there just throwing a lipper in right before he goes out there. Who needs a mouthpiece?
It's a difficult thing to do. I played a lacrosse game with one in and
Man.
got hit, and it went all over my face.
See, that's what you get.
The
though.
chin strap, it
That's
gets
what you
underneath
get.
and pushes it out.
That's why you need to be a kicker to do
Yeah.
this.
Yeah.
That's what you got to do.
That or you got to go top lip.
Yeah, he's not going to be in the game. And my whole thing is, unless he actually believes, I think we need to have the intervention with Arch saying, "Hey, buddy, you're not actually in the game. Like, you don't have to do
Yeah.
anything." And see, like, he's like, "Oh, well, maybe I'll change my mind then." Outside of that, who gives a rip? It's the backup quarterback at Texas.
I genuinely think this is a Manning leverage ploy of like, he'll be the cover athlete in a year.
I mean, whatever. By all accounts, they got like 10,000 guys already signed up to do it. 87% of college football.
Because everyone in college football's like,
Yeah.
bleep, yeah.
yeah, I'm here. I'm here for it all.
Like most of these kids didn't have this game growing up in like high school because it's been gone.
Maybe that's the thing with Arch Manning is it's not cool to him because he's just been playing with his uncles forever. Like his uncles have just always been on the game, so he's like, I don't care.
Yeah.
I don't care. Well, what are we doing here? Or Manning. Remember how we used to have like Madden, Joe Montana football?
They want their own line.
Like, what if we had Manning football come out, where you have to go to the Manning Passing Academy every summer?
They all have giant heads.
Yeah, that's right. You play like little bobbleheads. You can either have the 5 head or the dumb face.
Yes.
Like
which one do you want?
Which quarterback do you want? Which one do you want to be?
Is that one of the drills in the online combine? Is having to make the Eli face?
Yeah. I love Eli Manning now. I used to hate him. He's
Together-
fantastic.
Did you see they're doing the spinoff for his?
Yeah, that's gonna be horrible.
Yeah, no, it's like
Where he went undercover at Penn
Penn
State,
State, yeah.
and did like a spring game. They're gonna do that now with.
they're Ted Lassoing it. They're taking
Yeah.
they're taking a bit and they're taking a TV
It's-
show.
it's
I
gonna
will
be
say
awful.
when he did that at Penn State, it was hilarious.
It was
They were
good.
looking around like, what the hell?
But that wasn't even the original because Jared Goff did that as with Red Bull at Riverside Community College down in L.A.
and he crushed it.
And they did a great job putting makeup on his face, and he would like the guys were like, who the hell is this guy?
Just throwing absolute bombs.
And to do it to JUCO guys is the best
'Cause
because they're like, what?
This is different.
You could see that guy coming
Yeah.
along.
They did it with Jimmer too at BYU as a walk-on. He went back to BYU, and the thing about that is basketball. It's harder to hide.
Yeah, you can't because everybody sees his face.
Well, I mean, even like with his face done up in makeup, it was less about his face because they didn't recognize who he was. It was the fact that he hit like 47 out of 53s in warm-ups. It was like, what the hell? Yeah, no, he was hitting everything. He didn't do it like Goff, where Goff kind of slow rolled it and then started dialing it up. Jimmer just came out just like, yeah, I'm one of the best shooters in college basketball history.
Okay. Well, no Arch Manning in the game. No Arch Manning in the game. Hour number 1 is in the books. We have already started hour number 2 here because we are very far off the clock. But I've got a question. 2 teams went all in on quarterbacks, and it backfired tremendously. We're not talking about these teams as being as dysfunctional as they actually are, though. Danny and Dusty on the Fan. Hour number 2, Danny and Dusty with you on this Tuesday afternoon. Thanks for being a part of our day, letting us be a part of yours. With Russell Wilson's release that was announced yesterday, we can now put to bed who won the trade. I think we already knew who won the trade. But this is the big question here. After Seattle fleeced the Denver Broncos, where they got a 2022 first-round pick, a 2023 first-round pick, second-round picks in both 2022 and 2023, a fifth-round pick in 2022, and then 3 players. They got 3 players as well in that draft, or in that trade for us.
Yeah.
In Drew Lock, Noah Fant, and
Shelby
Harris, defensive lineman. They ended. I mean, that could go down as one of the best fleecings, biggest fleecings in NFL history, if not for the Herschel Walker trade,
which will never be done again.
Never be done again. But the Broncos get that trade, and now they have not only none of those assets, but $85 million in dead cap.
I was thinking this yesterday, driving home when we were after talking about this. Russell Wilson is going to account for $111 million in dead cap in his career.
Yeah.
$111 million in useless money.
That's crazy to think about that. But we don't consider like the Denver Broncos as one of the most inept and worst run franchises in the NFL, because it's been taken over by, headlines like, Dan Snyder and the dysfunction that the Commanders had for so long. You've got what's going on in Carolina. I think Carolina, we all are looking at David Tepper in that organization, and we're going, that is an absolute S show.
Well, it got a bit of a reset because they got a new owner that was, thought to be better than the previous owner, because the previous owner was an S show.
That's right. That's right.
So you get Richardson out of there, and you're like, oh, Tepper's going to come in. He's got crazy money. And then you find out he's throwing drinks on fans and firing coaches left and right, and, moving up to take a quarterback who's not the guy, throwing money everywhere, turning down trades for Brian Burns, where they could have gotten 2 first-round picks.
They could have gotten 2 first-round picks for Brian Burns last year. That's the report. Now they're franchise tagging him. They're going to pay him, $24 million to not win football games this next year. But when you look at the final tally of the Broncos and Seahawks trade, just to go back to that really quick, the Seahawks ended up getting Charles Cross, who's a starter at left tackle as a rookie, Boye Mafe, who's an edge rusher and has played all 17 games for them. They ended up getting Devon Witherspoon, the corner out of Illinois, who
working out pretty well. And then Derek Hall, who's an edge rusher that they got out of Auburn with the second-round pick last year. On top of that, they got Drew Lock, so they got their backup quarterback, Shelby Harris, who's a serviceable player, and then Noah Fant, who's going to be their starting tight end moving forward now that they've released Will Dissly. That's the haul that they get. That's pretty good. And all they had to do was eat $26 million.
Now, the Carolina Panthers, like you were talking about, we don't talk about them enough as being this dysfunctional, just as Denver isn't. But they are an absolute mess from their practice facility that they were bringing, that they were building, where they shut down operations, and I guess they're not building a facility there. Tepper has hired and fired 2 head coaches in 2 seasons. Mm-hmm. He went out, and this is probably the bigger one. This trade may go down as just as bad as the Russell Wilson one.
Fleecing.
The Chicago Bears, where they traded to move up to get Bryce Young last year, where Bryce Young, they just put nothing around him. They trade DJ Moore, their best receiver,
to get him.
To move up in the draft, but they also give up they trade their first round picks last year, where the Bears got Wright, the tackle, and then they give the Bears their first round pick this year, which is the number 1 pick in the draft, which is gonna be Caleb Williams. And then they gave up a second round pick last year and a second round pick this year too, next year. the Bears are going to be set
Yes.
because they're going to get their quarterback of the future. They already have a wide receiver sitting there waiting for him in DJ Moore, and they could probably draft another at number 9. And oh, by the way, the Carolina Panthers didn't draft CJ Stroud, and they're going to miss out on Caleb Williams.
I do feel bad for Bryce Young because it's not Bryce Young's fault, but I also don't believe if Bryce Young went to a better team that he would be that much better. I just don't think he's that guy. I could be totally wrong.
Why not?
Very tiny quarterbacks, I'm never a fan of.
I mean, when you watch him play, it was like it's there, but the rest of his offense isn't. He had nobody to throw the ball to.
I won't disagree with that. Like,
They had nobody blocking for him. Like the Carolina Panthers are an absolute S show.
Brian Burns is their best player by a significant amount.
Their offense is void of talent.
Yes.
Like completely. There isn't a quarterback in the NFL that looks good in that
And
offense. That's Patrick Mahomes included. Patrick Mahomes does not look good in that offense.
And that's the thing is where I think Justin Fields gets that excuse a lot more, and they're like, but if only, I'm like, I don't see it at all. With Bryce Young, I think if you put him on a better team, I think he's better, but I don't think he's number one overall pick better. Does that make sense?
Yes, but I mean, I just give a guy a pass on being a bust or not. Good
Oh, I'm not calling
with
him a
how
bust.
bad
I
they
just
are.
don't think that I would not have moved up to draft him at 1, is what I'm saying.
Yeah, they're a really bad franchise, and that's the question now. One of these two teams is the most inept franchise in the NFL right now. Which team is it? Next on the Fan.
What's your opinion?
It's thick. It's
I think what might boil down to the most inept franchise in the NFL. And look, there is no shortage. There really isn't. Because think of it. The Commanders and Josh Harris like sitting in quarterback meetings now. That's red flag.
Yeah, I remember Ben Johnson was like, yeah, they're basketball people.
They're talking football.
I'm like, I don't really trust them.
The Bears have been very dysfunctional, even though every move that they've made over the last year, pretty good.
Better. Trading back, great move.
Well, in acquiring all of the assets, and they've actually played this Justin Fields thing very well for them throughout. Everything, like we said, everything was going to be a smoke signal. And then they get to the combine and they're like, we're making a decision. And Ryan Poles was very clear, we'll make a decision. Here we are. Now Justin Fields is on the trade market, and we'll see what his value is on the trade market. People still seem to believe they'll get a second and more for Justin Fields, which is crazy to think about at times. But I think Justin Fields has the opportunity in the right spot. He could still be really damn good. But we have two franchises that are kind of rising to the top as the most dysfunctional in the NFL right now. And they don't get enough credit for being as dysfunctional as they are. The Carolina Panthers and the Denver Broncos. We outlined both of the trades that have put them in this precarious situation. The Russell Wilson trade, where the Broncos gave up 2 first-round picks, 2 second-round picks, a 5th-round pick, and 3 players to eventually be 2 years later in $89 million in dead salary cap.
That's what happens when new owners come in. New owners come in and they screw it up every time. It's what I always caution Blazers fans about too. New ownership does not always fix things. It's always great to have the big pocketbooks, but look at every new owner across sports. What do? They know how to do it better than anybody else when they come in. And they come in, and that's what the Walton family did. They come in, and if you think they didn't have any say in the Russell Wilson thing and how much money was getting put into that with how long and protracted that sale was, you're out of your bleeping mind. They are not. That franchise is not getting their sale greenlit with the Walton family with that much money committed to a quarterback and a trade of that magnitude being made a year before the sale.
That's right.
That's not happening.
And then you have the Panthers trade for Bryce Young, where they gave up a pick swap last year, which was phenomenal pick swap. But they swap with the Bears. They give up a first-round pick this year, which is the number 1 overall pick.
That's Clippers-esque. That was the Clippers selling off the pick to get off Baron Davis's deal and it going number 1 for Kyrie Irving.
That's right. A second-round pick they gave up last year, and a second-round pick they'll give up next year to the Bears.
Which is by the way, really good.
Their best and really only receiver in DJ Moore, they traded to Chicago, and they drafted Bryce Young instead of CJ Stroud. What I go back to how we kind of ended that last segment. CJ Stroud would have been an absolute disaster in Carolina too. Nobody would have been successful throwing the ball to DJ Chark, Adam Thielen, with Chuba Hubbard as your running back and no offensive lineman. Like they were.
All those names sound made up.
Well, how about Laviska Shenault, the pride of Colorado, who is actually really good if he ever stays healthy, but never
that's tough.
Healthy. All right. Which team is more dysfunctional right now? Denver or Carolina?
Carolina. Denver will figure it out. There's too much money. It's the Walmart family.
But isn't Tepper the second richest owner in the NFL?
Yes, but he's singularly stupid. Where it appears that the Broncos are they're more hands off.
Yeah,
the ownership group is, in which you can make changes with at the general manager level. You've got Tepper in all of the meetings, the coaches' meetings, and in the locker room after every game, chewing out coaches. Like, you don't hear about the Waltons in there. That kind of ownership, the Jerry Jones stuff, look, it works for Jerry because Jerry did it after he was winning.
Yeah. Well, that's a good point.
Jerry wasn't in the locker room right after he bought the team.
I'm sitting here and I'm looking at this. Boy, this is tough. Looking at the draft history of the Denver Broncos.
Oh, it's really bad.
They've not been good over the last handful of years.
Yeah. Which is, I
mean, Marvin Mims could be good, but he's, again...
Yeah. Rotation level.
Yeah, he showed pop.
Sure.
He showed pop at times, but
Which is, I think, is a Peyton thing.
He's a speedy wide receiver, but
I think it's a bad
GM
GM thing as opposed to bad ownership.
You go back to 2021 when they drafted Patrick Surtain. That was a good.
Good
that
pick.
was
Yeah,
a very good
good
pick. No. Yeah.
It's other than that, it's pretty bad.
Yeah. Bonito, the linebacker out of Oklahoma.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, they're just picking Oklahoma guys, is what I'm seeing as their top picks. Yeah, it's been tough. Like, they haven't been drafting well either. Yeah, Jerry Jeudy in 2020, Patrick Surtain in 2021, and it's after that it's been pretty ho hum.
Yeah, and I
Like,
think
they're not.
And I think it's a Peyton issue as opposed to an organizational issue. Whereas with the Panthers, I think it's a Tepper issue, which means it's from the top down.
Yeah,
You can fire Peyton.
I think the worst trade, as we look back at it, is going to be the Denver Broncos.
You think so?
Yeah.
I think it's going to be the Bryce Young one.
Because of the fact that they gave up all of that capital and but like the big, like, what were they thinking? I think is Carolina, where they just passed on C.J. Stroud, and they're going to have this to go back on.
And Caleb
They
Williams.
passed C.J. Stroud and then failed the opportunity to draft Caleb Williams because their roster was so bad they couldn't see, 5 feet in front of them. They were like, wait, we're so bad right now. We'll be the worst team in the NFL again. And everybody was sitting there saying last year, like, they're going to be bad.
Yes.
This team is going to be horrific next year.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't matter if you got Frank Reich, a new head coach. This roster is ill-equipped to win even in the worst division in football. It was like, hey, who wins the NFC South? It's either going to be Atlanta, Tampa, or New Orleans. You can just write off Carolina, and it's the worst division in football.
And we knew that they were the worst team in football going into the season.
And I think that
there was no surprise storylines there.
The headline will be like, you blew it on not just C.J. Stroud, but Caleb Williams as well. But I think if you're talking about the ramifications of what the Denver Broncos, which were competitive, and then all of a sudden they went from being competitive to non-competitive. Like, and that's the last 2 years, they've been 11-19, for God's sakes. They have been unequivocally bad. And you go out and you go to get a guy like Russell Wilson to turn the corner. There's no corner to turn anymore.
It was a shortcut, and they didn't make the turn.
And that's why, and you made Seattle a team that everybody thought was tanking. Guess what? They knocked it out of the park because of your dumb asses and ended up in the playoffs.
And that's where I go to the Carolina one. You might have just set up 2 franchises. Houston, whoever takes Caleb Williams, if Chicago trades out of it, your stupidity may have just set 2 organizations up for the next decade.
Yeah, I'm thinking, like, yes, and that makes sense because that's the big, like, the gray cloud, drafting Sam Bowie over Michael Jordan, and we all have it in Portland to be like, guys, we had Clyde Drexler.
Yeah.
We have to explain that over and over again.
There was a reasoning behind it. This doesn't have any reasoning. There's nobody on that roster. You're like, oh, no, we had to go get our quarterback of the future. For what?
And it's going to be just, and this is where Bryce Young, I feel bad for that young man. There isn't a quarterback in the NFL's history that makes that franchise functional right now. And that's the Carolina Panthers. I think Carolina is the worst run organization in football. And as the text line says, your Raiders might be up there too.
They're not there anymore. They were. They were there for 20 years. They're a step above bullheaded ineptitude right now.
Who's their quarterback?
I don't know.
Okay.
I feel like somebody's wearing some fairly Raiders colored glasses.
No. Look.
I think they are. He's wearing the blacked out Raider shades right now. These aren't like, he's not rose colored. These are blacked out Raider shades is what he's wearing.
Are they on the same level as the Panthers?
They're not as far off as you think they are.
Again, like I said, they're a step above bullheaded ineptitude. I didn't say they're doing good.
Are they, though?
Yes.
Because in a year where Caleb Williams was on the table,
and they should have tanked.
They won their last couple of games because Antonio Pierce was on the Pride Tour and saying we shouldn't be this bad.
Yeah, I know.
And they hired Josh McDaniels in the first place.
Which, again, getting rid of him is what brings them a step above ineptitude. Bullheaded ineptitude.
They have a pirate on the side of their helmet. It felt like there was going to be a damn mutiny on that roster if he was there for a day longer.
Which I would have loved to see. That would have been something I would have paid to see. Just full disclosure, I would have been all for it. All right, coming up next, it's our worst day on the web. And look, Tyreek Hill is our front runner for most appearances on Worst Day on the Web. I'm fairly certain.
Ooh.
Anthony Edwards might be catching up.
Oh, boy.
It's happening. But first, here's the Big Kahuna, the Sports Center update.
Hamburgers, the cornerstone of any nutritious breakfast.
Now, from the Fan Sports Desk, a Sports Center update on 1080 The Fan.
Your new floors are in stock and ready to install at PG Long, your Northwest flooring experts, pglongllc.com. First on the Fan, following a 2-1 road trip, the Trailblazers return home to face the West's number 2 team in the Oklahoma City Thunder tomorrow night. Portland 17-43 on the season, the 5th worst record in the league. NFL's franchise tag deadline came just about a half hour ago. Among the players tagged are Panthers pass rusher Brian Burns, Buccaneers cornerback Antoine Winfield Jr., Ravens defensive tackle Justin Madubuike, Jaguars pass rusher Josh Allen, Bears cornerback Jalen Johnson, and Colts receiver Michael Pittman Jr., but the Giants say they will not tag running back Saquon Barkley. That'll make him an unrestricted free agent. A lot of players getting cut today as well. The Seahawks releasing safeties Jamal Adams and Quandre Diggs and tight end Will Dissly. Other players cut are Jaguars cornerback Darius Williams, Jets tight end Jerry Uzama, Panthers tight end Hayden Hurst, and Dolphins linebacker Jerome Baker. Good news, though, for Texans tight end Dalton Schultz. Ian Rappaport of NFL Network reporting he's signing a 3-year, $36 million deal to keep him in Houston with $23.5 million fully guaranteed. And the Patriots reportedly putting the transition tag on safety Kyle Duggar, meaning they can match any offers. One note from Major League Baseball, ESPN's Jeff Passan reporting Red Sox starter Lucas Giolito could miss the season due to a partially torn ulnar collateral ligament and flexor strain that may require surgery. More sports scores and stories in 30 minutes. I'm Jeff Rust at the Fan Sports Desk. Listen live or on demand on the Odyssey app, the Fan's desktop player, or tell your smart speaker to play 1080 The Fan.
Tired of getting dinged by subscriptions? We won't send you a bill. Portland's sports leader, 1080 The Fan.
Well, if you watched the Portland Trailblazers Minnesota Timberwolves last night, you may have noticed that young star Anthony Edwards not in the opening lineup.
Okay. Is that the most disrespectful thing you can do to your opponent? Is Ant Edwards is not in the starting lineup for the game, and Lamar Hurd caught it like right away.
Well,
right?
because all of a sudden, because they were like looking around, because you hand in your lineup card. People don't know this. It's like baseball. You hand in your active lineup card, and you've got your starters on there, and then he wasn't there. So all of a sudden, Nickeil Alexander-Walker rips off his warm-ups and talks to the refs in the scores table. Late scratch. I'm starting.
Yeah, and Lamar's like, Ant Edwards is not out. He's actually coming in to check in before tip-off even happened. He was at the scores table. Hilarious. And everybody was wondering why.
And there have been times when, somebody was, there were, certain players. Sharif Abdur-Rahim was a player who went in the back during the anthem. I don't think he ever missed a tip-off, but, there have been players who've left the floor for pregame stuff, and, that's, it is what it is. But the flip side of this is, the other time is, sometimes you gotta go poop.
Yeah, sometimes
it's happened.
Emergencies happen to the best of us.
Look, you get that you take that Toradol.
And the worst of us.
Have you ever taken Toradol?
I have had a Toradol shot. Yeah.
And what does it do?
It numbs you up pretty good.
But what does it do to your insides?
Oh, it turns you upside down. It's an anti-inflammatory.
It's an eject button for your intestines. Yeah. If you get the shot, check in about an hour and time that baby up, because in that window you're gonna have to run.
I, however, did not need Toradol.
There you go.
You're just a bad Sammy.
He just that regular. Just a regular guy.
But it also wasn't that.
Fiber.
John Krasinski, not of The Office, but of The Athletic in Minnesota, the intrepid beat reporter there, confirmed with Ant Edwards that it was in fact not number 2.
Okay, so he literally did he lost track of time.
His exact answer was, he said he lost track of time. There's a lot going on for him right now.
Okay.
I believe I saw the words brain fart somewhere too.
Hold on.
Accredited to him.
This is, first of all, that's the most disrespectful sign to the Blazers of this entire season, is he was so checked out he didn't even make, do you think that happens if they are playing the Oklahoma City Thunder, if they are playing the Lakers? You think, because he's never missed a tip-off to a game yet, I think he was just like,
Remember when we had that discussion about who I would choose, Tyrese Halliburton or Ant Edwards going forward? I give you exhibit 26,000.
The fact that he was so checked out of the game, he just was like, just lost track of time, don't know. That sucks. For being anybody that's a Blazer fan, because he was just like, game's about to start. Here we go. Gonna run out there. Second thing, that a lot going on around him. Were you watching the League Pass, or were you watching the Blazers feed?
Blazers.
You're watching the Blazer
Yes.
feed? You catch Calabro, who said he's recently become a daddy and he's having long nights at home because of it. All I could think about was why Ant Edwards was making the headlines a month ago.
Send the video.
Yes. Yes. I was like, whoa.
Exhibit 27,426.
And I don't think there's anything KC meant behind that, but I was sitting there just going like, I'm not so sure he's up late at night right now taking care of the baby, Look, after that whole thing happened.
Yeah. And yet, oh God, this is going to get messy. There are women in the NBA, in professional sports, who sign up knowing the deal.
Yeah. Yeah.
That is a real thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
Unfortunately, I know
Dang.
some people out there who treat athletes a certain way that think this guy's an upstanding citizen and he's out there cheating on his pregnant wife. And it's,
That sucks. But this is all to say, Ant Edwards missed the tip-off to a basketball game in the NBA.
All
Here
because
we are.
he lost track of, he is very, the bar for him is very low. It's show up and do the shooty hoops.
He was still really good, though.
He is very good.
Still
but
really good at last night.
For some people who comment that's just Ant Edwards. If I am an owner or a general manager, I'm like,
well, that was his not coming out of the draft, though, was does he care about basketball?
I don't think he cares about anything.
Oh, really?
And that's the problem.
Really? Is he's like?
I think he's
that aloof?
Yes. Just listen to him talk. Listen to him talk about anything.
I think he could be pretty entertaining when he.
Don't get me wrong. Entertaining.
Yeah.
Entertaining as hell. On the basketball court, off the floor. Like he just has like random just moments. But the stuff that goes awry, you're sitting there going,
Go sideways real quick.
bro, what are you doing?
And that's got to make Chris Finch pull his hair out.
He's talked about it publicly, both Finch and Edwards, about how Finch has wanted to kill him at times. But they also have a great relationship.
And this
I've heard from multiple people.
And this is where, with both teams, like we saw it last night, is a prime example.
Mm-hmm.
Minnesota ended up coming out with a win, but the Oklahoma City Thunder playing the Lakers, they go to LA, they lose. And this is where that question is like, these two teams are really damn good. But
Yes.
we were going down that checklist of the teams that are surging right now in the playoffs. We went through this yesterday, in that if you look at OKC in Minnesota, are they ready for playoff basketball? And we're seeing the Lakers, we're making a charge.
It's
This is where
it's two
everybody
very different
gets
issues, too.
dialed in. Yeah, absolutely.
With Minnesota, it's maturity. It's can you trust their maturity?
Even Rudy Gobert,
Yes.
who's been in the league for a long time.
Cat,
Mr.
especially one of the worst playoff performing stars we've ever seen. He's up there with James Harden on the Mount Rushmore of holy crap, you're terrible in the postseason. They brought in Mike Conley to stabilize that, but one guy can't be the guy steering the entire ship.
Yeah.
Especially when he's 36, 37.
Is that how old he is?
Mike's 2006 draft. 2007.
He's 37. He's 37 years old.
draft.
Yeah. Holy crap.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, and then with Oklahoma City, their issue isn't a maturity issue, even though Shea is the oldest starter in the starting lineup at 25 years old. He will not be 26 until this summer. Terrifying to think about. But it's their lack of size. Anthony Davis has just absolutely mauled that team. And so
Yeah.
you worry about them in the playoffs against Denver.
Size matters.
Against Los Angeles, yes. But if they get matched up with a Clippers team that isn't that big, or they can be switchable and they can use Chet at the 5, then you start going, oh, I kind of understand. But yes, you have two big questions, but I think one is significantly more solvable with the Thunder, with personnel, as opposed to the Timberwolves question, which is, will Ant Edwards ever grow up? And I'm not old guy fuddy-duddying this like, he needs to grow up. I don't think it's in his DNA to be that guy, which is why I would stay away from him. I think it's very hard to have him be your number one guy.
I think that what you see from a leadership and maturity standpoint is it's reminiscent, but even less mature than Kevin Durant, where it's like, do you want KD to be the guy who is controlling your ship?
Yeah,
as a player?
there's an affable aloofness.
Yeah, and that is, look,
But nobody
it's
ever
one-
questioned if KD cared.
That's
'Cause
right.
That's
100%.
never been a question.
He's always cared about basketball.
But it's a soft skill leadership stuff where you're like, I don't know.
Yeah, is he the guy who's gonna, like every
the
great-
galvanizing
like
guy.
every great player in the NBA is, and there's nothing wrong
with not being
having
the guy.
that skill set. It is what's kind of always set KD back is not having the awareness that he's not that
Mm-hmm.
guy like LeBron or Steph. And Steph, you don't have to be, physically the most imposing guy. Steph Curry
he's
is
not.
that guy. Leadership is a mentality, and it is a skill set that you have to have and you got to be equipped for. But you also have to have the intangibles.
Yes.
Like that is huge. It's just got to be within you, and neither one of those guys have it. And
No,
that's going to be a major
That's
concern.
a great comparison, too. Like, it's different, but very similar veins where the talent is overwhelming.
Yep.
Whereas you look at OKC, you're just looking like, well, maybe they don't have the exact talent they need yet. As opposed to like it not like if I look at SGA, I was listening to somebody on the way in, like, do you worry about SGA in the playoffs, like him being the guy? And I went, no, unequivocally. Like, they're like, well, he doesn't take enough threes. I'm like, the guy plays in a telephone booth for 82 games a season and scores at will. No, I'm not worried about him.
Yeah, he's that dude.
Yeah. So with Ant Edwards, like, I don't think he's that talented yet or has developed that much yet. And I question the mental makeup.
Yeah.
So
Brutal.
But yeah, there you go. Our worst day on the web going to Ant Edwards for at least the fifth time. At least the fifth.
I can't remember the last time that this has happened.
to just not look, guys going to the bathroom, that is 100% happened. It's happened to the Blazers multiple times in the past 20 years. I know this because I've had text messages with Casey Holt all about it. They've been on the road and I'm like, what the hell? Why isn't, and it's, very much the same
Nature
thing
calls, man.
at the scores table immediately. Either like a shoe blew out or, bathroom. It's just, sometimes it happens.
Or you Paul Pearson, you take that wheelchair off.
Oof. God, sitting in it.
The worst thing he ever did is he said he crapped his pants and then tried to do things. No,
Backtrack out.
I didn't do that. That's not true. I didn't do that. It's like, yeah, you did.
Yeah,
dude.
we all know you.
You can't. We're not gonna unremember that one, buddy.
You Toradoled.
People don't forget. He was in 3rd grade.
Yeah. No. Do you want to get in some combine
The
stuff?
old oops, I crap my pants.
Yeah.
Yeah, I do.
You want to get some combine stuff? All right, we're getting
I'll
into some
do it.
combine stuff, some NFL news and notes as franchise tags and free agency and everything else is kind of shaping up, and what that will mean as each domino starts to fall as we get into the draft and free agency period. Come up next year on Danny and Dusty, 10 to the Fan. at the combine that everybody's really been, I want to say lamenting, but there's certainly a discussion around the idea of those guys at the top, there's no reason for them to go or to participate because there's nothing for them to gain, they can only lose. For everybody else, there's something there, and you might even make the argument that a player like Rome Odunze might have done enough at the combine to question who the number one receiver is.
I think there are people questioning if Marvin Harrison Jr. is the number one receiver now. Like talent-wise, he is off the charts. Everything that we saw at Ohio State, he was electric.
The tape is impeccable.
But there are things that Rome Odunze did at the combine that, by all accounts, by whether it's owners, GMs, scouts, people working at the combine, Rome Odunze separated himself from every other person. Like, seeing him up close twice this year, I am in awe of the way he operates as a receiver.
He's mini Megatron.
He has an ability to get open that very few that play the position can. Whether in the hardest part for being a receiver like Rome Odunze, where, look, in the two games that I was on the field for, Oregon threw everything at him. They threw press coverage at him. They bracketed him. They left guys one-on-one. They played zone. And the guy has the ability to get open no matter what. And the most incredible part of what he does is the setup off the line of scrimmage. It leads to everything else down the field. Like, you sit there and you wonder, like, how can he get that wide open? Well, it's the setup for the payoff. And on the plays that are considered, off plays, ones where he knows he's not getting the ball on a passing play or a run play, he is setting up for his next move because he gets that much attention. When you have two sets of eyes on you, you have to operate in a different way when you're not getting the ball based on the concept or when it's a flat out run play, yet he's always manipulating the defense. And so you watch him set up inside to move outside on a run play, and then it lulls a defense to sleep, right? He's always working, always, every single play. And his separation coming out of breaks, he runs incredibly crisp routes, but it's that work that he does when he's not getting the ball that showed up in the combine, and that opened up a lot of people's eyes because the dude is relentless. And the reports out of the combine are he was not satisfied with this 3-cone drill, even though whether it was the gauntlet, the 40, the shuttle, he did an incredible job. The 3-cone drill was not up to his liking,
which he finished 4th in.
Everybody said that after the combine was over, guys were cleaning up the field. He was still running his 3-cone drill until he got it right. Until he got it the way he wanted it.
Because he was clipping a cone during the drill.
That right there, that kind of that maniacal quest for greatness is what every single coach, every single evaluator is looking for. And it's not a show he's putting on for anybody else, because if that was the case, everybody else would be doing the same thing he did. The dude really does have that quest for perfection.
It's that those are the soft skills. Remember, everybody raved about Anthony Richardson and his character staying after to clean up and being a guy that kind of knew everybody's name already right out of the gate in Indianapolis. Those are the things that, like, you start. They're the dumb stories, but you're like, oh, come on. You're like, when you look back over somebody's career 10 years later, you're like, yeah, the early indicators were there. Yeah. For the building blocks for them to be great. They didn't just they didn't show up and they were great from day one. They're a Hall of Famer. They had the tendencies of one. They had the tendencies of a Hall of Fame person.
And those are the guys that you'll make that extra money. And that's what the combine is for. Is like guys making extra money. Add a comma, right?
Yeah. And Odunze might have thrown himself into the number one wide receiver slot, which I don't think anybody truly thought was possible.
And I don't think he gets it.
No.
I don't think he gets it. I still think it's Marvin Harrison Jr.
But it's a conversation.
At the same time, whoever gets him, they're getting a damn good... Like, this receiver class went from a really good one to one of the greatest, if not the greatest, receiver class that we will see. Because you look at just the sheer speed in this class.
Good Lord.
It's nuts. It's absolutely crazy. And it's not just Xavier Worthy running a 4.21.
Was it 9 guys under 4.4?
I think 9 receivers were under 4.4. Overall, there were 20 guys at the combine who ran a 4.4 or under.
That's
20.
How-
9 receivers, 20 overall.
how.
Speed kills. And look, a lot of it is we have this manipulation of the combine and how players attack it, right? Xavier Worthy's not playing at 176 pounds.
No.
Troy Franklin is not playing at
No,
176
it's their
pounds.
running weight.
They wanted to run. And but here's the thing with guys like, whether it is guys that had awesome combines, you had Xavier Leggett from South Carolina who came in at 221 pounds and ran a 4.4 40. Adonai Mitchell, the receiver out of Texas, who off the charts, his explosiveness. And
Yes.
here's the thing, those guys that came in underweight, like Troy Franklin's,
Was it
they call it
176?
they call it the RAS score, which is your relative athletic score. They take all of your metrics that they combine them together into a score.
And it's
his-
based off the history of everyone that they have tracked.
His speed was off the charts. A 4.41 is incredible, but his explosiveness is what hurt him in that. He didn't bench. He was only 176 pounds. His vertical was good, but it wasn't exceptional.
If you're 176, you should have like a 40-inch vertical if you're going to be in the upper, percentiles.
And so you had like Troy Franklin, who his gauntlet too, which isn't in the part of your RAS score. His gauntlet, which is your top end speed running from sideline to sideline as they throw ball from your left and your right, and you have
the
to
GPS
run.
tracking data.
Like that is so overblown because I understand you want to see the guy's top end speed running and you want to see if he can run it in a straight line while adjusting. And guys like Xavier Leggett and Keon Coleman, who is slow. Like, here's the thing. Keon Coleman ran like a 4.6 40, but his top end speed was like 3 miles an hour faster on the gauntlet drill than Troy Franklin. I've seen and Keon Coleman, I think, is going to be a phenomenal
He's
wide
a
receiver.
monster human.
I think I've seen Troy Franklin get open and get in and out of breaks.
A lot.
He's really good.
Yeah.
Troy Franklin is going to be a great wide receiver in the NFL. It is the all of these metrics getting put together. A lot of dudes made money. Mitchell, he kind of solidified himself as one of the top end prospects. Leggett, even though he wasn't as tall as what he was listed at, he's still. I think he was like. Was he 5'11"?
I think
or is
he
he
was
6'1"?
No, the Alabama guys all got.
Hey, he was 6'1", 221.
Yeah, the Alabama guys got 5'11s.
Leggett is 6'1", 221, ran a 4.39, had a 40-inch vert. That dude
That sounds like Greek Woolen.
is cashing in, and he's a damn wide receiver. You've got Adunze, who measured off the charts and showed the
6'3",
intangibles too.
215.
This class,
Not running weight.
and then Brian Thomas Jr., who is in that conversation for being like wide receiver number 3.
A guy rocketing up boards.
They made money. This receiver, and Lad McConkey, we didn't talk about the white guy who ran a 4.39.
Yeah, it wasn't just white guy fast. Turned out he was legitimately dumb fast.
Lad McConkey, like Bill Belichick he's going to be a receivers coach somewhere just to make sure they draft him.
Wherever Lad McConkey goes, that's where Bill goes.
That dude is, and here's the thing about McConkey that is so incredible, is he runs that little whip route on the goal line or in short yardage where he runs like he's running a slant or he's going to set you up inside and then he flattens it off out to the side at 5. He runs that route so fast where even if you are in great position,
And you know it's coming.
he puts his foot in the ground and he gets to that top end speed in a snap. And that is where he is
where
going
he's
to
gonna
shine in the NFL. Like, I don't know how they're going to do it, but the Los Angeles Rams, if they get Lad McConkey, Cooper Kupp, and Puka Nacua, good night.
just route running hell.
It is going to be impossible to defend that offense, but everybody's looking for those guys now because those are your intermediate guys. But then Lad McConkey shows, I got that vertical speed too.
Yeah, let me go ahead and get over the top and see what happens.
It's crazy, this class. And another white dude, Ricky Pearsall Jr. Ricky Pearsall had himself a day.
ran himself a straight line really well.
That, like, the resurgence of the white guy receiver, move over Tom Waddle,
Hey, not only that,
Ed McCaffrey,
Cooper DeJean.
white corners coming
2
back.
weeks, baby, his pro day. We get it.
This receiver class is lights out, though.
Yeah, no, it's gonna be fun.
In Rome Odunze, he's going to be the guy that we're all talking about later.
Oh, we're talking about we talk about Roma Dunze later. Right now, we're talking about Victor Wembanyama and what he is doing. Do the Spurs have to speed up the timeline?
Your Wemby crush is incredible. It's
But
like
warranted.
Yeah, like he may be taking clips of the show because you may be a stalker soon, and it's warranted.
It is. And
He's putting it all out there.
there's a question out there we're going to ask him here now. Number 3, Danny and Dusty, today the Fan. Hour number 3 here on a Tuesday afternoon here on Danny and Dusty. We appreciate you. We love you. Whether you're listening on 1080 AM The Fan or you're watching on youtube.com/1080 AM The Fan. If you've seen during the commercial breaks me rubbing my eyes furiously, that's because the studio was 76 degrees for some god-awful reason and pumping all the dust in the world. I had to rip both my contacts out, and now I can't see 2 feet or 2 inches in front of my face.
That's a weird way to say you're soft.
Yeah, my contacts are.
You know? You're not using the hard lenses?
No.
Hey, everybody that's watching on YouTube, if you're commenting in the comment section, we got our YouTube Kings board is growing today. Commenting. Oh, I need to add a couple more in there. I'm noticing the YouTube comment section. Go ahead, be a part of it. Play the game. Let's go.
If
be on the board.
If I had
put it on the board. Yes.
A live or die opportunity to read a single name on that board,
you would die.
I would die.
Okay.
0% chance of it happening.
Yeah. Well, you should go. I heard Isaac had a spot for King LASIK in that last thing. You should go there.
I need free LASIK. It's coming down in price. Still awful expensive. It's like $2,500 an eye.
Well, I don't think that's something you want to skimp on.
I don't either, but also like $5,000.
I mean, Danny's gonna go to cut rate discount eye laser treatment. I'm not doing that.
The kiosk at Beaverton Mall.
I mean,
I've taken like
the
Mexican steroids
you're gonna go
before.
You're gonna go to the Claire's of eye treatment. No, like I think it's worth it right there.
It's just a lot of cash. That's all I'm saying.
But look at you now. You're sitting here bitching about your eyes.
I can't see at all. Can't read. I can barely read this can in front of me. It's like
I think it's worth it. I heard Isaac say that you get 20/20 vision the next day. How about that? That'd be great.
Somebody had 20/15 when they were done. And I was like, I'd like that.
See, give them a tip and maybe give them a little extra, and then you go up from 20/20 and you get that 20/15 action. Huh?
I need that.
Let's go.
I need that, Jeff.
Yeah.
That's going on the board. Speaking of seeing clearly, the San Antonio Spurs seeing ever so clearly.
Save a buck, lose an eye. Big Eye Duck. And aptly named on the YouTube comments, Big Eye Duck. Save a buck, lose an eye.
There you go.
The YouTube comments know.
I'm just saying.
Danny wants the Spirit Airlines of laser eye care.
They do half an eye at a time. Absolutely brutal.
They just start you and they're like, hey, if you want to see 20/20 tomorrow, you're going to have to give us an extra $500.
God, because I don't have the clock right in front of me, I can't see it. I can see that we're now very off the clock.
Don't worry about it.
No?
We're fine.
Okay.
Everything's good.
All right. We'll just keep pounding just through on this segment. The San Antonio Spurs are at a point now where they see very clearly that Victor Wembanyama is a transcendent, truly living up to the potential player. And Ramona Shelburne of ESPN popped on NBA Today and decided to kind of throw this grenade out there for everybody to kind of realize where things are right now with Spurs.
I don't want to hear that word anymore. Timeline, patience. Like Damian Lillard, when he asked for a trade from Portland,
thank you,
had an interest in going to the Spurs.
Okay? No,
he had an interest. There was a fascination with Wemby. Wemby hadn't hit the league yet, but there was a fascination with him, and there was a respect for Greg Popovich. And there was not really any traction on trading for Dame because Victor is so young, and they have a young team, and they want to see that develop. Victor's here. Victor is ready to win. And I know they have this idea that they're going to take 2-3 years and find the right core and they're all going to be on the same timeline, but I don't know how patient he's going to be because when I watch him play, that man is competitive. He wants to win. And how long do you give it, Malika? Year, two?
A year max.
Because I don't think he wants to sit here and be at the bottom of the lottery standings.
Yeah, he's that guy already.
I love that.
The numbers he is putting up, the impact, he's going to get Defensive Player of the Year votes. He's not going to win it this year. He's going to win it next year. They're just not going to give a rookie Defensive Player of the Year. You can make an argument right now that he should win it this year. He's doing things that no player has ever done when you're talking about counting stats as a rookie. And
is that good? I heard that's
good. That's pretty good. Oh, and by the way, he's 20 years old. He's 6-7 years away from his peak.
Yikes.
He's all of a sudden shooting 40% off the dribble from three.
Yikes.
At 7'5", which means he's shooting the ball somewhere around 9 feet. Good luck dealing with that. Like, it's just the things that he is doing as a rookie we've never seen. The spike is happening. And this is the second time in my lifetime where a prospect has been so hyped that you couldn't live up to the expectation, and yet he's breaking it.
Yeah, it is LeBron-esque in the way that he is kind of taking over the league. But at the same time, what I appreciate from what Ramona Shelburne is talking about, first of all, the timeline thing, I'm like...
Throw it out the window.
Neil O'Shea, just like, that word is awful. Like, it's ruined. We have ruined bifurcate. We have ruined panacea.
I forgot about that one. That's a sneaky one.
Yeah, and we have ruined the word timeline because the whole timeline thing, and like when Dame, everybody was talking about that, like the timeline doesn't match up with Portland the way they were built. And when Dame wanted out, of course he had interest in San Antonio because of the fact that Victor Wembanyama is one of those guys that you can win right away with. And this next offseason is going to be huge for San Antonio because although they can be good defensively, they're offensively inept.
And well, they're inept when they don't have a point guard on the floor, which they've only got one, and he's been coming off the bench mostly, which is why that behind the scenes there's been a lot of discussion and rumors about Trae Young potentially going to the Spurs.
My phone literally, as you said that, just buzzed. Trae Young addresses trade rumors.
Look, Quinn Snyder took that job in Atlanta knowing full well that he would have the final say on trade and trading Trae Young specifically. For those who don't know, Quinn Snyder is a maniacal a-hole in the best possible way.
He looks like one.
He is. He looks like a villain. If you haven't seen him, his red horn-rimmed glasses. He's also a basketball genius. That's why he's able to get teams after a couple of years to a place where like, oh, that's
dude has won everywhere. Missouri, where he's a basketball coach. He won in the G League. He did a damn fine job in Utah.
Yep.
Like he is, for all of his faults as being an a-hole,
yes,
he is a really good basketball
He's a
coach.
basketball genius savant. Like he knows how to get things done. Now the Hawks have had a pile of injuries, and to be clear, Trae Young is a difficult player to play with. I have heard endlessly about basically everyone that's ever played in Atlanta has a problem with Trae Young. And that's a risk the San Antonio Spurs would have to look at. But Wemby is so... Trae Young has always been the best player and always been catered to. That would not be a situation number one in San Antonio because no one is catered to in that organization. From Tim Duncan on down, everybody falls in line. That is part of that organizational mantra.
That will be interesting to see if Trae Young can fall in line like that.
And I think that's the question that the Spurs are debating.
Pop and Wemby are the two guys that probably could, because like you said, he would not be the best player on this team.
No.
For the first time ever. No. And it would not be particularly close.
No, it would be a chasm between the two. Trae Young's a perfectly good player, very good offensively. Wemby has the potential to be a top 15 player of all time.
As you know, Jeff says in the YouTube comments, it's a LeBron-esque in that everyone is rooting for Wemby to fail too. And there is that sect of people. I think a lot more people are rooting for him to succeed.
Most of them are Thunder fans.
But I think that the people that are rooting for him to fail, and it's a large swath of people, because when the hype machine comes through and it's like, well, I mean, they've only won 13 games. Like, what are we blowing this out of proportion over, you know? And it's like, no, believe me, he's really good. The team sucks, but he's really good. There's a facet of people that just say, no, he's not. His team's really bad. Like, look at it.
Yeah.
And so there's people that are going to be anti-Wemby, just same as LeBron, because LeBron went through the exact same thing.
Yes.
But this is what happens when you get drafted in professional sports. You go to the worst team.
I remember Ricky Davis's line as Ricky Davis saying rookie LeBron was brought in to help him.
And so you have those people where if he gets Trae Young,
that is insane. Love it.
All of a sudden, the people that are already detractors of Wemby, that will intensify.
Oh, God, yes.
Because he's not a guy that you can like. All of New York will hate him right off the bat.
Yes, F. Trae Young. But also, Trae Young's probably one of the 3 best lob throwers in the NBA.
Yeah.
Think about that. Like, think about the lobs that Wemby has converted this year, and think about how few they have actually thrown him, and the number of like edits you've seen of him running down the lane of like Randy Mossing. Like, hand up, baby. Ain't nobody going to beat me to it. Just go ahead and put it there.
And I think that there's people like on this text, Vancouver Ford text line, 503-864-6326. Just idiocy. They're talking about him demanding a trade 55 games into his career when he's publicly said he likes where he is.
No.
Part
He's
of
not
the
demanding,
NBA meeting. He's not demanding a trade.
He
wants the San Antonio Spurs to improve the roster around him
Yes.
immediately. He's demanding
Competing
that they
now.
get better.
Yes.
Which I would want if I'm a Spurs fan. That is music to my ears.
Yes,
That's what
you want
every fan
stars
base
to do
wants. Like I would love, and this is one of the things. Like Dame always played the good soldier, and it never got to the point where
He wanted his friends to get paid.
where he was ship their ass out.
Yep.
I want
I want to win.
I want to win. And there was no doubt that Damian Lillard wanted to win in Portland, but he never took that step
He was never willing to sacrifice somebody else. And this is not
until
fault
it was too late and they were so effed with the books that
Yes.
it was impossible to
to do anything. Yes, but he wanted to see CJ get paid. He wanted to see Mo get paid. He wanted to see Myers get paid. He wanted to see Evan Turner get paid. He wanted everyone to get paid. Anybody, all of the Dame's teammates, with the exception of like maybe 2 all time, he wanted to see them get paid and taken care of because that's the kind of guy he was and is. And that doesn't jive necessarily with being successful at the highest end.
Yep. Yeah, you're right.
You have to be a little bit, not even a little bit. You got to be a lot of bit cutthroat, and that's just how this stuff goes.
I'm jealous of it.
I would like a Wemby. Remember, just one ping pong ball off.
Thanks, man.
Like
That's
that?
what you're framing that narrative to where it's like it's only one ping pong ball off. Damn it.
Yeah, and Dame definitely would have stayed.
See, now
I'm
you're just
twisting the knife?
hurting people, and that's just unfair to hurt people that way.
So,
Can't
there you
take you anywhere.
All right, coming up next, there's changes all across sports. We'll start with the NFL first. They're contemplating all kinds of moves. Coming up here on Danny and Dusty, 10 the Fan. Why is the NFL king? Because they stay on top of everything. Last week when you were out, we talked about one of the potential changes coming in the chain gang possibly disappearing. 60-year-old men everywhere threw their hands in the air going, what am I supposed to do on
all
Saturdays?
those guys who have a front row seat to all the action.
Right?
How are we ever going to see a guy have a compound fracture
On the sideline again.
on the sideline because his old ass can't get out of the way of a 250-pound edge rusher and runs a 4.4 40 bearing down on a quarterback? Like, we need that in our life.
Stop, drop, and roll, buddy. Bust your hip or break your leg. Which one's it going to be?
Well, with you, I know it's bust your hip.
It's bust my hip. It's 100% bust my hip. But also the idea of, like, why are we, like, in a sport that's so predicated on precision, we're like, meh, eyeball it. This is good.
Yeah, this is. I'm okay with it. So what they're going to do? You need to still have the chain gang. I'll tell you why.
No.
What they're going to use is they're contemplating bringing in Hawkeye technology,
which is the video cameras that are up in the building that are already there. They're utilized by the NBA, MLS, and all over Europe for soccer.
I think everybody knows this
insane.
as for two things. I'm neither one, a tennis or a soccer man, but they use that. That's the ball in tennis, and it is
hyper accurate tracking technology.
VAR for soccer.
Yes.
And so they're going to use that to track first downs, which I think is great. But technology can let us down. This is why tennis still has judges, and you still have referees in soccer to make sure ball go in, ball no go in, right? You need to have that little barrier. I think you still need the chain gang.
We also still have the chip in the ball, which we all talk about. We all gloss over the fact that they've been doing it for, 3 years now?
Yeah.
And it's like, why are we questioning this? We have a chip in the ball. We can tell exactly where it's supposed to be.
And that is going to be great. I also think, though, that human error is part of the sports that we love. And it is incredible to me that you're like, the game of inches, a game that can be decided by one man's will to get that extra inch. Also drop. But we have that happens on, like, in between the numbers and the hash mark. And they're like, yeah, Larry, just eyeball it.
Eyeball it.
I'm going to toss this ball over to you. Get it as close as you can. And to their credit, officials do an amazing job spotting the football. Like, they are, we all know the ones where they're wrong, and we have TV, but 99.9% of the time, they are dead on, and it is incredible in live action without the benefit of a replay that they are as good as they truly are. What's going to be hilarious is when Hawkeye comes down, it's like the 43 and a third yard line, and you see an official like, I have no idea where the hell that is. Because you can have like a little like buzzer in his ear that's like radar is going like ping, ping.
It speeds up as you get closer to it. It vibrates.
Like, all right, here we go.
The ball vibrates when you're supposed to put it down.
That's where the ball goes.
Yeah.
But no more changes is something that is going to be there. And I'm for it.
The other one is the XFL style kickoff, which this is the breakdown from Albert Breer. No players except the kicker and returner can move until the ball is touched.
You guys just need to watch more XFL football.
Okay.
You'd already know what this
Yes,
is.
but I'm gonna break this all down. Number one, I should also start is you kick off from your opponent's 40-yard line. And this the whole idea of this is to increase returns.
Well, you don't. So yeah, you kick off on the minus 40.
Yes,
and your team is on the plus 40.
Yes. If the ball doesn't cross the 20-yard line in the air, it's treated as out of bounds, and the receiving team gets possession at their own 40. Okay.
Ooh.
If the kicker kicks the ball into the end zone on the fly, a touchback results in the ball being placed at the 35-yard line as opposed to the previous rule of the 25-yard line.
I like this.
The essence of the idea is to increase returns while also reducing space and speed into play, addressing a major issue that led to major injuries.
The kickoff not being a plausible touchdown play, it sucks.
We took out one of the most interesting and explosive plays in the entirety of the sport, and the reason a guy literally just made the Hall of Fame.
Yeah, Devin Hester.
Devin Hester just made the Hall of Fame on kickoff and punt returns.
Yeah. I think that rule is something that I would like to see. The how it plays out, it'll be really interesting. But give it a whirl because I want to see kickoffs back in some way, shape, or form. The other one that is very stupid, I'm not on board with, they're going to change the onside kick rule, where you can only onside kick in the fourth quarter, and you have to tell the team that you're
doing
onside
it.
kicking.
Which, boo.
Saints won a Super Bowl off.
Yeah. Also, when was the last time somebody got hit on an onside or hurt on an onside kick?
Oh, it happens.
Oh, I know.
It happens a lot. It's a dirty play.
Yeah.
I mean, you just don't hear about them because they're usually not guys. They're Operation Human Shield.
That's
but
true.
they've changed it so much. Bring back the onside kick.
Yes.
I'm here for.
I want to see that.
It changes the ends of games.
Murder, death, kill.
Wow. Okay. Let's go.
Shout out Demolition Man.
But those other two, I'm actually here for. Give me the kickoff back to being entertaining, and then Hawkeye technology. Sure, let's do it. But still, give me my 60-year-old chain smoker.
Yes.
Who's working the sidelines too.
Who's working youth football on Saturday and then working the NFL on Sunday.
He deserves to be there.
Yeah.
Just give him that spot.
He's earned it. It's like retirement.
You're damn right.
You know?
You pay your dues.
See?
You end up holding those sticks.
They worked their way up from Pop Warner all the way up to the NFL, just like those officials. Right? You got to grind to get there. All right, coming up next, more changes in sports as NCAA basketball is thinking about increasing the NCAA tournament field bracket and number of teams in, which we've already got the first or the last four. We don't need to add more, but I'll rant about it later. But first, here's the Big Kahuna Sports Center update.
That's that Hawaiian burger joint.
Now, from the Fan Sports Desk, a Sports Center update on 1080 The Fan.
This update brought to you by Laurelhurst Market Steakhouse and Butcher Shop. Their butchers are all trained chefs, eager to help with cooking advice. Get to know your friendly neighborhood butcher online at laurelhurstmarket.com. First on The Fan, following a 2-1 road trip, the Trailblazers return home to face the West's number 2 team in the Oklahoma City Thunder tomorrow night. Portland 17-43 on the season, the 5th worst mark in the association. The National Football League's franchise tag deadline has passed. The players tagged are Panthers pass rusher Brian Burns, Buccaneers cornerback Antoine Winfield Jr., Ravens defensive tackle Justin Madubuike, Jaguars pass rusher Josh Allen, Bears cornerback Jalen Johnson, and Colts receiver Michael Pittman Jr. The Giants, though, say they will not tag running back Saquon Barkley. That'll make him an unrestricted free agent. A lot of players being released today across the league as well. The Seahawks, though, they releasing safeties Jamal Adams and Quandre Diggs, and tight end Will Dissly. Some others released: Jaguars cornerback Darius Williams, Jets tight end CJ Uzama, Panthers tight end Hayden Hurst, Dolphins linebacker Jerome Baker, and Chargers linebacker Eric Kendricks. Ian Rappaport of NFL Network reporting the Texans signing tight end Dalton Schultz to a 3-year, $36 million deal to keep him in Houston, with $23.5 million fully guaranteed. And the Patriots reportedly putting the transition tag on safety Kyle Duggar, meaning they can match any offers. More sports scores and stories in 30 minutes. I'm Jeff Rust at the Fan Sports Desk. Listen live or on demand on the Odyssey app, the Fan's desktop player, or tell your smart speaker to play 1080 The Fan.
The inside story on the Blazers, Ducks, and Beavers. Danny and Dusty, weekdays noon to 3 on the Odyssey app and 1080 The Fan.
Those good old student athletes. Student athletes driving those billion-dollar forces. And now there's reporting coming out from The Athletic. Chris Vanini is highlighting a story. And this has been kind of burning for about a year now. Matt Norlander of CBS Sports, I believe, had this in early 2023, talking about the NCAA's push to get more teams in the NCAA tournament. It wasn't that long ago that we expanded to 68 and then pushed forward into the last 4.
This is the Jim Boeheim baby. Jim Boeheim called for this 2 decades ago.
It's been a while.
He was like, just 96 teams.
Yeah.
Do it. Put 96 teams in the tournament. It's like, it ain't it, boss. Right now, I think the NCAA tournament is just fine the way it is.
It is.
It's
but there's
just fine.
But there's a money grab, and so they're going to bump this up to, they said not 90, not 80, but it looks like probably 72 to 76.
So 4 to 8 more teams.
More teams.
Can we get rid of calling the play-in and just have actual first round start, and everybody can acknowledge that it is the actual first round of the tournament then? Because the play-in is the stupidest thing ever, because they're like, we're not calling it the play-in tournament. We're calling it the first round.
Yeah.
No, it's not. No, it's not. First round is when you have 64 teams in the field.
Yes.
That's when it all starts. And I think everything else is just going to be scoffed at. Are we really that worried about the 4 teams that are the first 4 out actually getting in the tournament? Because I don't think we are.
Well,
because you're a 12 seed.
Not only that, you push it out a little bit further. It's like, it's the next group of the first 4 out. And then you go up 4 more. It's the next group of 4. There's always somebody who's being pushed out. It's like,
but at the same time, with what happened today at Dartmouth, the NCAA is probably looking at it with the tournament and saying we have to make a move, because Dartmouth basketball overwhelmingly voted to join the local union, so they are a unionized athletic department,
and that's happening.
And
that's going to happen across college sports.
It was the first domino to fall. And it comes from a non-scholarship league in Dartmouth, from the Ivy League. It will be the first of many now dominoes that will fall, because we've gotten over the hump and then it's gotten blocked or, has been suppressed. With Dartmouth, we're finally there. And it doesn't matter really what Dartmouth did. It's every other lawsuit that's going against the NCAA right now.
They're getting hammered.
They are going to be seen as employees.
Yes.
And then we're going to be at a point where, do you go, all right, do they even have to pursue degrees if they are at these schools, because they're technically considered employees of the school? And I don't want to see that in going to that extent, but there's going to be people that are pushing for it, because in all honesty,
play school.
Kentucky basketball is not a degree factory.
No.
It's a basketball factory.
Is Ohio State, is their graduation rate high on football?
I think so.
Okay.
I
know their actual graduation is the highest in the country as far as total population. It goes back and forth between them and Michigan, but I didn't know where they ranked on their football team.
They're at 92.
That's not bad.
So 92%.
Yeah, that's not bad.
Yeah, 92% is pretty good for your football program. But look, for the student athletes, at these Division I schools, you have so many tutors, you have so many academic resources that are there that there's no reason why you shouldn't.
North Carolina won't have to make up classes anymore.
No, they won't, which is great for them. Yeah. Actually, it was great for them anyways, because nothing happened.
Well,
they did make up an entire major, and nobody cared.
Well, they did have to spend a lot of money on legal fees.
Yeah, but that was the lawyers lawyered really well in that one.
It.
And they went to the NCAA and said, this isn't a U issue. This is an accreditation issue. Yeah. And everybody's like, wait, what? And the accreditation was like, yeah, you guys are fine still.
It was well done. I bet you they were a North Carolina alumni and they did it pro bono.
And this is an interesting one too. How workman's comp for injuries, if they're considered school employees. That's the way it should be. Yeah. And right now, I think what you're seeing
have
is
health insurance.
A lot of legislation's moving forward across the board in Division I, and this is where we may see the big separation in the schools that are pretenders as Division I schools actually have to get out. Is that they're going to have to pony up that money for medical expenses once they are done with school.
Especially on the basketball side of things, I think it's 318 Division I basketball schools, if I remember right.
Yeah, and there's a lot of people that are upset. It's like, no, this is amateur. It hasn't been amateur
in 50 years.
It's been a really long time. man, it has been
Legitimately, probably since the 70s.
well, yeah, at a very small amount of schools.
Yeah, like
I think
that's the beginning of the SMU stuff.
widespread. I think you're going back to probably 2010 is where across all of college sports it stopped being amateur.
Yeah,
I mean, it really did. And if you didn't have a problem with it last year, if you didn't have a problem with it 10 years ago, there won't be a problem moving forward either.
Looks like 351 schools.
351 now.
351.
Division I, yeah.
Jeez, that's just too many, man.
And they don't belong.
No.
I mean, it sucks to say that because everybody wants that Cinderella story. Everybody wants George Mason in the Final Four. I want George. I love the chaos of it. But they don't get over the hump. Gonzaga is like
They're different.
The one program, but that's the hope that the 351 when in all reality it's 68 and then everybody else that 351 holds on to we could be the next Gonzaga.
VCU.
We could, but they lose Shaka Smart, and all of a sudden you're sitting there looking at it going, well, you're human. It is Marquette. They were a powerhouse program. They've taken a massive step back. They're back this year, really good this year.
Tom Crean had them humming.
But guess who's the
10
coach
years.
at Marquette? Shaka Smart, right? Like
Weird.
really good basketball coach back there. It's really hard to stay at the top, and that's going to be the really interesting part with Gonzaga basketball when Mark Few leaves. Is what happens.
I think
to
they've got
Gonzaga.
so much money in that program now.
They should.
I don't think that one. And not only that, their impending move to a conference is going to happen too, which will kind of insulate them. Being out of the WCC will do wonders for them. Do you want to see more teams added though to the tournament?
No, I'm fine. 68's good.
I think 68's fine.
Yeah, 68's
Have
good.
the final four or the first four group and then go.
Yeah.
Screw that. Get rid of them too. Go back to 64.
I'm okay with the final four.
Jeff Rust is good with NIT. He's a
It
big
messes with
NIT
the brackets. Just, like we got to go through and pick your brackets. And well, what about these four teams? And well, does it really matter? Just stop.
fan. Yeah, you
64.
know what? The bracket is a really good one because when you go online, it's like you're not picking the team. You're just picking, like, last year
You're
was
picking
like
that seed.
USC or Dayton, right?
Yeah.
Like, it's like, well, I don't want the or option, so I'm just going to pipe through the 5 seed.
Or
But every now and then that Fairleigh Dickinson or that UMBC comes
Let's
through
go. And I'm here for it. That's 64.
and
it's
it
beautiful.
breaks those brackets. All
It's
right.
beautiful.
So there you go. More change keeps coming along, and the old fuddy-duddies, well, we'll sit here and shake our fist at the sun. All right, when we come back, we'll put a nice little bow on today's show before we hand you off to Isaac Kasuk coming up here on Danny and Dusty, 1080 The Fan. Just want to let this song play. It's great. It's a great song. No, nothing. All right.
This reminds me, this song, my dad, when he was coaching football, he would make sure that this song was on the pregame playlist. And he would go and he would make sure it's on because he has no idea what the words are, but he would just yell, dippy, dippy, dip, 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 dip. And he was a middle-aged man just out there rolling around pregame, yelling, dippity, dip, dip, dip. I put my hand up on hip, dippity, dip, 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 dip. That is a staple of Old Man Hera.
That's a good one.
I don't know if he has ever listened to the song truly all the way through
Word for
on
word.
his own, but he heard it one time and it became the go-to pregame song for him. He is not a man of... who is that? Freak Nasty? Isn't that who sings The Dip? I don't know if my dad knows any other Freak Nasty. I don't know if anybody knows any other Freak Nasty songs, but he is a big fan of The Dip.
I did know somebody's dad who kept singing From the Windows to the Wall without knowing the rest of the song.
Yeah,
because all he heard was the radio edit.
That's a hell of a thing right there.
That was a fun one.
Good scene in the Proposal too, with Sandy Bullock out in the woods doing that song.
Right, where Betty White
happens up upon her. Yeah,
that movie is actually
Sneaky.
okay.
It's Ryan Reynolds.
I enjoy it. I think it's underrated.
It is wildly okay.
I'd say anything with Ryan Reynolds in it is always going to be good. But then,
and you get Betty White and Craig T. Nelson. You know,
yeah,
star-studded cast.
Boy, I'll tell you, it really. And who's the mom in that? She's also the mom from Step Brothers, right?
Oh, Mary Steenburgen.
Yeah. Step Brothers and Parent.
Dysfunctional kids because she day drank a lot.
She's a terrible parent.
Yes.
She plays that role to perfection, but sweet as hell, you know? She does a great job at that. All right, wow, that was a short segment.
There you go.
All we got to was the dip. All right, well, we'll have a Wednesday program for you. Up next, you got 4 hours of power from their mouths to your ears. It's prime time.